This is Naoki Yoshida,
This is Fern Hall.
and you are listening to Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio.
Here we go.
All right, hello and welcome to Aetheryte Radio for the first time.
Yes.
Gamerscape's Final Fantasy 14 podcast of Fusion X. Joining me today, we've got Zenidra, we've got Aldino, and joining us today, we have Mary and Larry.
Hello.
Welcome
I can make
for the first time.
It's too late.
I mean, if you, it's all good. We totally are not doing this for a second time. I totally didn't forget a setting. We're good. We're good to go.
Yep. So to be here.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
How are you?
Completely fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine here. How are you?
How's
So today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the interviews that came out this past week. Just little short email Q&As with Yoshida-san. And then we're going to talk about our predictions for Shadowbringers, because everybody here except for Zenitra is going to be at the media tour.
Wow.
Nice.
Self-censored.
She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know how this machine worked. So yeah, let's go. We'll dive into the interview first. We had an interview, so we're gonna talk about ours first. So,
Not
this is
Not biased at all.
I'm not biased. I just want to make sure that we give we present the best one first,
Oh,
the best one.
right? So we asked Yoshida. The trailer for Shadowbringers is different from expansions before. It seems like the one where Urianger and Y'shtola are talking while the area burns around them feel like they could be taken from the main scenario quest. Could we expect to see CG cutscenes? And he says, unfortunately, the answer is no. I felt like it probably would be, right? But but you never know. The higher
it would be
Yeah.
awesome.
it would be. It would be. Of
You
course, the
couldn't
higher
show
the
our characters, though.
Yeah, I mean that's the
well,
hard part.
and
That's
it's
fine.
we'll get to that in the question, right?
Okay.
Or the answer. He says, of course, the higher the quality of the pre-rendered cutscene, the more exciting it is to everyone. But Final Fantasy 14 takes great care in the player's experience. So because we tweak the visuals and dialogue up until the last possible moment, a pre-rendered video, which requires a long production lead time, will not allow us to make those adjustments. That being said, a few of the scenes with the Shadowbringers trailer faithfully depict a portion of the path that our Warrior of Light is presumed to travel along. I encourage everyone to confirm what scenes in the trailer mean through the main scenario, Shadowbringers. So basically, yeah, like we need to be in there, and they tweak stuff. I mean, that's why 1.0's Aetheryte for Limsa isn't where it actually is.
Yep.
It was at one point, and they're like, this isn't a good spot. We need to move it. They totally could have fixed that with Yulmore. They haven't, but they could have. But
Oh, that would have been cool.
right, there's been a lot of like the party from the trailers this whole time has been from the first, but well, no, sorry.
That's what I thought when the first World of Darkness story was Warriors of Darkness story was happening. I was like,
yeah.
Are they like making it so the characters from that first CG cutscene are these guys, but not?
The forums were just for days just going
man.
off on it. I mean, Onwell was right at the forefront of that. Moose is just
Yeah.
like, is this a thing? Like, you could probably still find the thread. It's probably still
Yeah,
being
I
talked about.
remember
We asked, there are areas on the source, like Charlayan or the New World, that we haven't visited. How did you decide to travel to the first in Shadowbringers instead of exploring more of the source? And Yoshida says, in order for us to dive into Final Fantasy XIV's core, there are certain themes that we can't forget. These have been present even since the original Final Fantasy XIV. What are the goals and intentions of the Ascians? What was the cause for Hydaelyn to be split into 14 different worlds so long ago? These are questions that we cannot forget as we delve to the center of the story. Of course, there are unexplored areas like Charlayan and the New World, but I feel like we need to tackle these fundamental points before journeying to those locations. The answers to the questions I posed will be revealed through the main scenario, and it's here that we'll start to really see the foundation for the Final Fantasy XIV story.
Okay.
My curious, like, nitpicky response to this would be like, yeah, okay, like, yes, these are core questions, but how many of these have been internally retconned to fit Shadowbringers? They probably had all these ideas for things long ago. You know, the original like boss for 14 that they never used. Like, I'm sure they had a lot of other stuff too, but they're like, no, we should do something different, and then we'll make it fit this.
Well,
like,
I feel like maybe some of that also is like if some of that story existed since 1.0. Maybe a lot of that is just to do with Yoshida just wants it to be his story, you know, like he doesn't want to be.
Yeah, well, you know, and
tied
that's
into what was already there.
that was something that they had kind of mentioned. I think around Stormblood, there was the idea, and I don't, you know, have a source or a quote, but I think I remember Yoshida saying something like, you know, he finally feels like they're away from that, and this is kind of his thing. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I mean, really, this is, you know, we've done Ishgard, we've done Alamigo, like the remnants of 1.0, and that lore is done, and everything else that's left is just like the creepy, mysterious stuff in the background.
Yeah.
So, the areas of the first appear to be derived from areas on the source. How did the creation process for these new maps work? Were there terrain or other assets that were brought in from the existing area on the source? Yoshida says that where the Shadowbringer story will take place, it does indeed show similarities to areas on the source. And that's because Hydaelyn was split into 14 shards over 10,000 years ago, and each of these separate worlds went down their own path with their own history. Naturally, their history and evolution would divulge from this point, and so we didn't repurpose any existing assets. The development team considered the evolution and history of the first and created this world from the ground up. So while it might appear to have similarities, I'm confident that players will always have the feeling that nothing is quite exactly the same. The only commonality would be the people. The visual difference of each race on the first and the source may be the same, but their philosophies and heritage are quite different. I think elements such as these are one of the real joys of exploring the first.
That's cool. They didn't take the easy way out.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't have minded if they used some of the original 1.0 assets, but I also understand why they can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, it would have been really interesting in a sense of like, this is a world that didn't have the, you know, calamity Source did that changed everything. And so there'd be like things that are maybe a little more reminiscent of 1.0 because they didn't experience what changed it.
As much as we hated those winding paths in the 12's Wood, I miss them now.
Yeah, me too. The Shroud was really cool.
I really miss the not the original Shroud music, but the second track that they put in.
Yeah.
With that
'cause
one
they replaced
update.
it eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys all
like
play 1.0?
Yes.
I did not. I'm with you.
Oh,
okay.
I played it for a week and then I stopped. So
I played the 1.0 like alpha. Like I was in there like day -1. Like
Yep, I got in with the beta.
yeah.
Well,
Got some
I don't remember. I'm an old person.
that's fair. That's fair.
I think this question was really good because it set the record straight of like some people thinking, oh, they're just reusing assets and they're just, you know, making the world just cookie cutter from, you know, what we already have from Rover One. It's like, no, they just flat out made this brand new. It's just themes are similar.
Yeah.
It's just using a theme and making completely brand new maps. So
there is, sorry.
No, go ahead.
There is one thing that they're doing that just completely blows my mind. And that is the fact that on the source, they're calling them Hrothgar, but they're calling them Ronso on the first. Why is that not reversed?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Shrug, buddy.
Ronso would have sold so much better.
Oh yeah, it's true.
I think with Ronso though, there's that expectation of a more of a specific face. But Hrothgar has such a wide variety. Like, right, they have some that look kind of cat-like, some that look a little like, there's such like a wide.
And they're a little bulkier, I guess. Ronso are kind of a little more
taller and like leaner. Yeah.
But why even use the word at all? You know, like that leads to that question. Like, if you didn't want to make that connection, why make that connection?
I think that's why the first. Having Ronso for the first works, right? Because it's like, they're different over here, but like this is also not the main area, so it's like here's that nod that everybody wanted, but it's not like our world's canon, right?
Maybe on the first they all look like Ronso.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we need to point out that on our world they are called Vieira, and there's something else on the first.
True.
What was it again?
Yeah. I don't know. Something weird.
So it was weird.
Yeah.
The only ones I
Nobody
know
remembers.
are Ronso and Hume. Because Hume.
Part of me is like they should have just gone with like the Final Fantasy 11 names for some of these, right?
Yeah,
but then at the
they
same
do.
time, like we don't know like what the 11th is, right? Like maybe that is
The 11th.
Vanadil.
Oh, that's tinfoil hat, dude.
Oh yeah.
No, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Right. We asked during the patch 4.5 trailer, the Warrior of Light had some stubble on his chin. Many players have been asking if this is something we can see added into the game. Are you considering adding it and or other new character customization options for existing races? She just says, honestly, I wasn't even aware of this.
That's
Nice.
It's crazy.
Nice.
I don't
There's
believe
no way. You gotta know
wonder.
people want that.
He says in our trailers we depict the Warrior of Light as sort of a symbol to represent the Warriors of Light around the world. So if he has stubble, it's only natural that everyone else could grow some too. I will definitely keep this in mind. So there we go. That's the highlight of our interview. Stubble confirmed.
Just
Maybe.
enable it. It's an option, obviously. It's on the character.
Yeah. Just
They,
make it.
they've made it. Just stretch it for the chins, and we're good to go.
It's just a bunch of little dots. It can't be that hard.
Right.
Players visiting other worlds will be able to purchase things off of the market board. Obviously, this could have a great impact on the player economy of each world. What factors led to this decision? So he says, I think that the market boards will be affected by this new change. However, I feel that this is only being brought up because there was this wall between each of the worlds. Final Fantasy XIV continues to evolve, and these barriers between the worlds are starting to fade. We may have seen some dramatic fluctuations on the market boards at the onset of the world visit system, but it'll eventually settle down and we'll enter the post-world visit system economy. So in other words, the in-game economy and competition surrounding that will also evolve into something new. What was a closed market up until now will open up to all players within the same data center, and everyone will be a competitor. However, from a bird's eye view, this simply translates into an expansion of the market. We see an increase in both supply and demand, as well as competitors in the market, nothing more. The only difference is what used to be separated per world is now per data center. We thought much less of this immediate impact, but instead thought of this as an evolution into a new market and settled with expanding the current in-game market as is. So there you go.
How has it been? I have been very busy with work. How has it been, like on Balmung and other places?
I haven't really browsed the other ones, so I can't really say.
I missed all of the immediate people running around trying to grab the big ticket items for cheap off some servers and take them the others. It's like I don't care. Something I did do the other day, which I thought was sort of like a little bit of interesting research accidentally, was I decided to level my blacksmith decently. So instead of having the chunk of maybe 12 items from Balmung, I was able to tap to all the other servers and just buy a bunch of the same crap that I needed. And almost all of them on every server, and this is adamantite tier stuff. Almost all of those items on every server were about the same. There were some servers that had chunks of 10k, and then it hit 20 and up. That's about where I stopped. But and then there were other servers where there were only 2. So I think that's such a random item to compare.
Right.
I'm sure some things do not have this similarity, but across the board, everything was pretty much the same for this particular thing that not very many people want.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know my wife does a lot of the solo maps, the treasure maps, and so she'll just be going around all the servers, seeing who has them for the cheapest. She'll pick them up if they're worth it and go around and do them. And the impression that I get is that the fluctuation on the prices of those is pretty consistent even after the world visit system. There's still the people that'll put them up a little cheaper, and then it goes up to about the same on most of the world. So hasn't been really that big of a change from it, from what I can tell. Just that maybe there's more people going around and doing that same thing now.
Yeah.
I did hear I made some joke in some public chat that, everybody's coming to Balmung for the cheap stuff, and somebody goes, are you kidding? The furniture prices on that server are insane. So I guess
there you go. If you want furniture, don't go to Balmung.
Furniture stuff.
Yeah.
See, the problem is Balmung's got one of those nice local furniture places that everybody goes to, but then other servers on the data center, they have IKEAs, so everybody's just going over there.
Gotta get the
They gotta
cheap,
build it.
cheap furniture.
And the
There you go.
meatballs. Yeah.
The meat.
Oh yeah, and the meatballs. Our last question here. We asked, Sokin has done some great work with what we've seen of Shadowbringers so far. Previous expansions had theme songs performed by Susan Calloway. What we've heard in the trailer so far seems a bit different from that. Can you tell us if what we've heard is the theme song for Shadowbringers, or if the theme song is something we've yet to hear? And he says, the Warrior of Light's adventure transcends the interdimensional rift and takes players to the first, but up until this point, we've always journeyed within the source. Our overall concept for the main theme has been the singing voice of Mother Heidelin, but this time it's different. The story is not about the adventures of the Warrior Light, but the Warriors of Darkness. The music that plays in the trailer is the Shadowbringers theme song. However, there is one more theme song that will complement this song in the trailer, and you'll be able to hear it for yourself in-game.
Ooh.
I like
So
how layered
there
the song
you
is.
go.
Though. I do like the first one's first better.
Yeah.
I like it, yeah. It's good. You know, and this is a question. I mean, people have been wondering this for a while with Umatsu-san kind of taking a break for a little bit. Like, what's going to happen to that traditional theme? And so, there you go. Whether or not this
Susan Calloway only sings to you on the source.
there you go.
Thorson Calloway.
And whether or not, you know, this song, that this other theme song is, whether or not it's just the kind of like melody they play during quest cutscenes, or if this is actually like another full blown thing, like, we don't know yet. So we'll just have to.
So can confirm for Zodiac.
There you go.
That would be amazing.
This song is the Zodiac song, and then the complementary song is the Heidelin song, and that's Susan Calloway.
Could
I
be.
would very
The
much
one
like
that
that.
does the Heidelin
Could be.
song.
And that comes out with like the last, you know, couple of cutscenes in the 5.0 MSQ or something.
And they literally layer on top of each other, and they
be.
take turns singing. That'd be amazing. I think.
And then on the
Or we'll
last
have
boss fight, you're
Mhm.
going to get a section of the song every time. And then if you wipe,
There
you're
you
going to
go.
have to listen to that section of the song time and time.
well, and
Yeah.
you know, or maybe it's also something. Maybe it's something more akin to like with Heaven's Word, right? Because you have Heaven's Word, but then you have Dragon Song.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the reverse of that. Maybe
Yeah.
is
Maybe.
what they're doing. So, we've also got a couple of interesting snippets from some other interviews that came out over the past week. We've got Polygon up first. Who wants to do Polygon?
Want to do like rock, paper, scissors?
Live on stream.
Yeah.
Do we have to change what we're doing now? Now it's not a talk show. It's the rock paper scissors stream.
Yes. All
There
right.
you go.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Let's do it.
All right.
Just you guys.
Amazing.
Yeah. One,
Okay.
two. It's on
Three.
shoot. It's 1, 2, 3. Shoot.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Two.
Shit.
I'm
3.
gonna go with rock. I'm just.
Okay.
It's rock.
All right, no.
Fine. Do you want to?
All right, you go.
Oh my God.
You know what? One day we'll have the technology to do this. Polygon. So Polygon asked, now that Stormblood is finally over, did you learn anything about the player base over the course of the expansion? And Yoshida said, our players have already greatly surpassed our expectations in many ways. They've taken the world of Final Fantasy XIV in as something as both perpetual and natural. The reason I say it in this way is that players from around the world not only play the content we create, but they also organize events and role play on their own. One could say that many are taking residence in the world of Final Fantasy XIV, which is changing what we need to provide. It is no longer just about creating content, but also simply providing a space to play within. I believe this is a very strong and positive outcome for an MMO, and the reaction towards battle mechanics and other specifics are a very small factor in comparison to the bigger picture. So, I mean, you know, that's MMOs, right? They kind of have a community that grows out of it. You know, it's just a play space that has stuff to do. But
and especially with their theme park approach, right? And I mean, you know, this is tying into like Mahjong, right? It's like, let's add Mahjong. And subs and trials went up because this is like one of the best like Mahjong games like that somebody's made. Like, all right.
Yeah, I can't even believe that that's even possible.
They just updated. They're updating Mahjong too. Like they're adding like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Nintendo started with playing cards like 100 years ago. So
Yeah.
So their next question was, whatever happened to Fordola?
Whatever happened to Fordola?
Yeah. She ran off to take care of Ifrit, and we never saw her again. Is there a chance we might see her again in the future? And Yoshida said, unfortunately, now is still not the time to talk about Fordola's future. She's a tragic character who lived an ill-fated destiny and made into a resonant, which I like that word. Eventually, there may come a time to depict what happened to her, but now is not yet the time. However, I don't think we will ever forget her. Okay.
It's like it's like they asked. It's like so about Fordola, and Yoshida's like, oh, I was hoping people would forget about that.
We're definitely not going to forget her. By the by, I didn't just
in 6.0, we'll rebuild Alamigo for Alamigo housing, and maybe she'll come back.
We're gonna pop back into the source in 6.0, and she's gonna have made herself a hero, and we're gonna be
it's like with the Ishgard stuff that's coming in Shadowbringers. Everybody's like, bring back Hilda, bring back this character from Ishgard that we haven't seen,
yeah.
And it's like, maybe, probably not, but maybe.
She's gonna be the new warrior of light. She
That's what I'm saying.
Nobody wants
you
you
in
anymore.
particular had a lot of like really good character development, so it's like, why didn't you?
It was interesting to me. Like one of my like, everyone's like, yeah, Stormblood story is so great, and I'm like, I'm really not having it with like the parallels between Fordola and
Yotsuyu.
Yeah, and Yotsuyu. And it's weird because like Yotsuyu's arc like blew up in such a big way, and then Fordola's like, I'm just gone by. Like,
so there
wasn't any. It didn't go the route I thought it would. Right? Like I'll say that. Like, because originally, like the fact that it was like kind of samesies, like after the base like MSQ, I'm like, this is kind of for me. But then they did go different directions, but. To have such an epic like conclusion to one, and then the other one just kind of fades away, like that's kind of weird. But at the same time, it's like I'm not like unhappy about it. Like I wasn't crazy about her character anyway. Like the redemption arc, I'm like, wasn't for me. I know some people liked it. It wasn't for me.
I don't know. I saw where you were coming from with the parallel stuff, but at this point, nope.
Yeah, I mean, and also at this point, it doesn't matter. Stormblood's done. Like, it's...
I feel like Stormblood was Far East, the expansion, and also Alamigo.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right. It's, and I think that's part of, we talked earlier about Yoshida getting away from 1.0 and making his own MMO, and Alamigo was the last kind of snippet, on top of, like, the Asian arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, all right, we need to do Alamigo, but I also need to do something else. Let's go east.
Yeah.
And so we had that.
Now I'm imagining like Stormblood, the box art with a little badge that says now featuring Alamigo from the popular Final Fantasy XIV. So their next question.
That's good.
By the way, Polygon, that was a great question about Fordola. That was awesome. Just because, we were like, why?
Thanks,
Polygon. It's rare that you get specific questions like that from a bigger outlet like Polygon.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The next question is good, too. The raid bosses for 2.0 and 3.0 introduced new mechanics that kept you on your toes for most of the battle, but the bosses in 4.0 raids like Kefka and Final Omega often use mechanics in the second half of the fight that were present or similar to those in the first. Will the Eden raid in 5.0 be more similar in design to the earlier raids or closer to the 4.0 raids? Yoshida had a pretty long answer to this one. We don't necessarily create raids that fall under some kind of overarching rule set that we have in place. It's actually based more on the preference of the content designer who's in charge of creating each one of those raids. The examples you provided, Kefka and Final Omega, were handled by the same person, so you might see some similarities between them. He laughs there. One thing we do need to be mindful of is the available resources for creating the content, such as graphics and programming. A very skillful content designer may be able to come up with new mechanics while keeping resource costs low by simply finding an interesting way to reincorporate a previously used mechanic. We shall have to see how Eden pans out. That said, the staff who worked on Kefka and Final Omega are part of that production too. Tongue out emoji. That's in there. I don't know. I don't know if that was added by Polygon
Yoshi P actually went.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we kind of knew that. Like they were reusing things because they made the one before. That's the ones that designed it.
There are so many things you can do with the sphere. We learned that at FanFest. Remember, just spheres everywhere. It's a glowing little ball. It's just whatever you want it to do.
Yeah.
Another really, really good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they are killing it with this interview. Like, I think this is the longest one that we incorporated.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, they of course didn't really say anything about Eden.
The reusing mechanics in interesting ways is particularly the coolest part for me. Like what he said, like you could do that and really lower development costs.
Yeah.
Because it's not only does it lower the development costs, but I think as the player, you see them do that and you go, oh, wow, that's really cool that they used it in a different way. Like,
Right.
even for instance, like in Ukab in the Bahamut phase, you know how Heaven's Fall falls down and it pushes you out, right?
Yeah.
So that's been a mechanic before where Heaven's Fall down, you push you out.
Yeah.
So then now they're like, you know what? Let's combine that with the towers, which was another mechanic before. So now you got to line yourself up to push into the tower.
Right.
So just like interesting ways to put things together like that.
Yeah,
And
the
it's
layering is
it's
cool.
nice too from a player, like I'm like a mid-core, right? So from that perspective of like seeing mechanics, maybe having them a little different, but like you kind of know what to do.
Right.
Where you're not like just sitting there, you're like, I have no idea like what this is or what this symbol above my head means. Like the fact that like they reuse stuff, but it also is very like intuitive, like is also very appreciated.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we'll get into a fight in Shadowbringers and we'll have some weird symbol above our heads. We'll be like, I
What is that?
don't know what this is. What does this mean? I don't.
What is this new rune?
Yeah. To me, it's like
Don't
it's
understand.
the sounds that always get me. Like the Earthshaker sound is ingrained into my brain. Like there's a sound that goes out when people get targeted by it.
Yeah, the
and when it
target
goes
sound.
off, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
little drone.
yeah,
There it
I'm
is.
like,
There it is.
oh, it's coming. Where is it?
You're like a cat where like the ears just like perk up and you're
So their next question was, Final Fantasy 14 has a lot of cool outfits and accessories, and I'm sure Shadowbringers is going to bring even more. Is there an plan to expand the Glamour system to accommodate access to more items or even add more slots to the dresser? Will we ever be getting a Glamour dresser furniture item for our homes? Players really love Glamour. Yeah.
they're not wrong.
Yoshida said the amount you can store in your Glamour dresser will be doubled from the original 200 to 400, and the number of Glamour plates available will also be increased. These updates will come at the launch of Shadowbringers, but we will continue to update the Glamour systems in the future as well.
So
That's
you
cool,
can
'cause
grab
we
two
knew-
of
we
your
knew-
retainers.
Yes.
We knew they were
Doubling's
coming.
huge.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
And
huge.
some of the first things I saw were really just double.
Yeah.
Just double.
Come on, you got to take the.
Yeah.
Like you know how like an Oreo is really awesome and like a double stuff Oreo is even better. Like, why would you complain about that? Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand.
No, 200 is huge. That's people. I can't
Yeah.
even fathom that much because I already sometimes struggle to fill up my 200.
You will
Right.
never use that many
love
pieces of
Derek.
equipment. Throw something away.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
By that time.
I think, you know, at one point too, like, because they haven't talked about normal inventory upgrades, so I don't think we're getting them for 5.0. So it is another way of storage too,
Yeah.
right? Not just when you consider like, oh, I'm going to use it for glamour. Just you want to keep it, but you don't have room in your retainers
Yeah.
or whatever. You store it in your glamour dresser.
Stuff you pick up in dungeons while you're leveling. Like you're leveling Bard, but you get some Dragoon pieces. You can't use them right now. Glamour dresser.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Level
Yeah,
Dragoon
thank
later. You have stuff ready.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Protests.
in terms of the last part of that question too, the furniture item, we actually asked about that. Was E3 last year, I want to say, and it's basically
so.
like a weird coding thing because of how much data the dresser handles with all the items attached to it. So I mean, and now that's doubled. So
Yeah.
it's a weird thing where if somebody's interacting with it and somebody tries to move it, like there's weird stuff there. And so they didn't say they wouldn't ever do it, but they're prioritizing stuff like making more plates, more items in it, and putting them in more locations.
Right.
So
Yeah, I don't like to speculate about that sort of thing because that is my job. I'm a programmer, and like everything that they've said about it, I'm like, okay, I kind of have, you know, an amateurish because I'm not on that team
Sure.
idea of how it works. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that would be pretty hard to do. Like, I get it, but
It'd be cool
I
if
mean, it's
they
not
just-
impossible, but it's going to take a while.
It'd be cool if they would just put them maybe in each ward's apartment complex.
Yeah. You know, like maybe
You'd have to run back to town.
Yeah.
Workshop.
Yeah.
Workshops are static.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's even better. Then you have to pay for it, like really pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, but their last question is an amazing last question. Last question, and like last time, it's a fun one. Who would you rather take on in a fight, Godbert or Julyan?
Oh no.
Right? Okay. But before I read that, all right, let's go. Godbert or Julyan? Everyone here.
Oh no. That's a hard question.
I know, right?
Neither.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember who Julyan is.
His mom.
His
His mom.
It's his mom and
So
dad.
Godbert's
Oh.
wife. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I
so
mean-
you either have a almost naked guy suplexing you, or you have a woman hitting you with like a giant like frying pan.
I picked Julyan. Don't step on me.
Godbert. Godbert was afraid of Julian.
Yes, exactly.
It's true.
So
That's
I'm gonna
true.
be afraid of her.
Yeah.
I mean, in
More than
any
him.
scenario though, like Hildebrand always is. He never gets killed by any of these, right? So he's.
Yeah.
You wouldn't die from him, but like
that's their son though. Like they don't want to kill him.
Yeah, they hold back. They only use 10% of their power. You know, it's like a manga.
probably Godbert. Probably Godbert. Yeah. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
he's a member of the syndicate, right? He can see a reason in certain scenarios.
Julyan is
Godbert.
S tier waifu, so
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
yeah.
So Yoshida's answer. Oof, this is a tough one. However, I still have a feeling I could talk things out with Godbert.
Yeah,
No matter
see?
who I choose,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I could win. But the person I feel I could perhaps become friends with afterwards would be Godbert, probably. No matter what era, no matter the world, mothers are always strong.
Aw, that's nice.
I like that answer.
What a cutie.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a follow-up question then. Who
Oh,
would win Ultra Instinct Goku or Godbert?
Godbert.
I think Godbert.
Godbert.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because, you know, like, Goku would just be like, oh, yeah, I want to see what you can do first. And then he'd be dead. That's it. You
Yeah.
know, he's like, I want to fight. And then he just,
I'll give you a free shot, and then that's
it's
it.
over.
Yeah.
That's the end. That's the end.
This logic, this like real world logic applied to this scenario.
I mean,
Kind of
you
proud
know.
of
Absolutely.
All right, so we also have an interview from Forbes.
Yeah. They've been doing a lot of gaming
Forbes?
content. Yeah.
Forbes.
Yeah. And it's an interesting
wanna-
one because they
Okay.
only ask like one question, right? It
Yes.
seems like. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. They want to know about the restructured economy. Just kidding, that's not it.
They want to know why Final Fantasy 14 is still using a subscription model in
Yeah.
2019.
Oh.
Please tell us. No, okay. So the actual question: since Final Fantasy XIV was relaunched back in 2013, we've had numerous expansions that have evolved and moved the game forward. With that in mind, I asked Yoshida what Shadowbringers brought to the world of Final Fantasy XIV.
Mhm.
He says, our players, the Warriors of Light, will traverse the rift between worlds and journey to a new one known as the First, one of the 14 shards of the original world. It is here we will finally begin to explore the very foundation of the Final Fantasy story. This we have heard before.
Definitely.
This is not new information.
Right.
The Crystal Tower stands tall in the First, even though it should not exist in that world. Furthermore, all the things the Warrior of Light encounters are similar to those found in his homeworld, the Source, yet exist in a markedly different form. I encourage everyone to prepare themselves for new adventures into the unknown. Harsh fate awaits you all. The inception of the idea was very simple. In recent fantasy works, the perception that light equates to good and dark equates to evil is very set in stone, and we wanted to shake this up a bit. Until this point in Final Fantasy XIV, our players have been Warriors of Light, the hero. However, with Shadowbringers, we leave the Source and embark on a journey to the First, and through this, I want our players to discover the truth of the world, probably of all the worlds, as well as think about the real nature of light and dark. That's the theme of Shadowbringers. In any case, a light too strong could potentially become evil. Darkness and night are also necessary for the world to maintain its balance. That's the kind of thing we'll be shedding light on. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah. It
So
was.
clever.
Yeah.
This is I feel this is stuff we all knew already. It's a nice little summary of it, and also to call Yoshi P out, the Final Fantasy franchise constantly shakes up the difference between light and dark, like all the freaking time.
Yeah.
Oh, you light, good guy. Just kidding, not really so good. Haha. I have in like all Final Fantasy.
The time.
All of them, almost.
What? Wait. There's a church? No, the church is bad guys. That's
always every game.
Yeah.
Altana, best dude. Maybe not.
I remember one of my favorite games ever. It's a slight tangent. Grandia 2. Like the church is so evil that the Pope turns into a butterfly of evil, and it's just his head, and he's got like butterfly wings, and he's like just raising the town, and you're like, well, that's heavy-handed. I think
I love Grandia 2.
Yeah, Grandia 2 is one of my favorite games ever.
They're doing a HD release for Grandia 1 and 2.
Yes, I will be buying that.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I have the
Uh-huh.
soundtrack for Grandia 2, or when I got it on Dreamcast, it came with like a soundtrack disc.
Yep.
Every so often, I still listen to it. It's so good.
But yeah, it's like I don't know. I saw this one out there. You know, I was the one that was collecting these, and I was like, it's something.
I feel like this question would have been better if Forbes actually had asked about the economy.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We heard there's an economy in this game. Can you elaborate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Free market.
Yes, so
Amazing.
next time, Forbes, try again. Destructoid asks, the Eureka system, the current grindy way to get endgame relic super weapons and now armor, for anybody who didn't know,
Yeah.
has been contentious, sparking arguments between casual and hardcore players. Where's the question?
Yeah, exactly.
Yoshida says that some people have reacted positively since they get 2 times the value in one piece of content, now that Eureka is essentially a new set of zones. But for others, it felt like a burden. He explains that ideally, they wanted to have multiple routes for in-game weapon strengthening, but finite developer resources brought them back to Earth. As he's reminded that the deadline to finalize Shadowbringers' relic system is steadily approaching, he calls it quite the dilemma. I don't find an answer in that either.
Right. The only reason that I even was like, this is kind of worthwhile talking about is that they were talking about how they were like, yeah, we want to have multi-zones to do relics, and we're working on Shadowbringers, and it's not done yet. I don't know.
Well, it's also incorrect, right? Because he talks about wanting to have multiple zones or multiple routes, right?
Yeah.
You don't get that with Eureka. You had that with the last set of stuff where you could just go back and do whatever content in Light Farm.
Yeah,
that was multiple routes.
He wanted to.
Yeah. And maybe he's also referring to Eureka versus like Omega weapons.
Yeah,
and it's also weird too, right? Because he talks about like we only have so many resources that we can use. So instead of just having people rerun existing content, let's make all new content. That seems backwards to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it sheds any light.
And I think they talk about 2 times the value in one piece of content.
Yeah,
I think, and he talks about how it's a new set of zones. Yes, but I think for me it's cool to see new zones, but the fact that I can go in and I mean, like I just finished like my 3rd relic weapon this past week. For me, the value is that
You shaking your head.
I hate myself. 3.
2. I'm done.
But it's like for me, it's an easy way to get tomes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if I'm in there grinding or getting tomes from doing this stuff, I'm also building up whatever I need to do more relics. I might as well,
Yeah.
So that's the real benefit for me.
You need tomes.
Yeah. People need. I mean, I'm trying to gear up. I've got my Dragoon, I got my Samurai, and I have my Machinist, which I don't really play, but let's face it, I'm gearing up my Dancer at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I'm getting light and crystals that I can use for relics, I might as well build another relic. Like, why not?
I mean, the only thing that I miss from the old relics, well, not the only thing, but one of probably the biggest thing I miss is the open world stuff, because there was always a step where you had to go do fates, or even in A Realm Reborn you had the books, which you had to go kill mobs and stuff. And I miss that, where it would inject people into all of the zones to do fates and just farm there. So I miss that we don't have that we didn't have that in Stormblood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and instead it was the exact opposite, where it took people out of that stuff and put them in instance Eureka things. Yeah,
right. I think I would like to see some kind of merger of both, because I did enjoy Eureka. I enjoyed exploring those zones, but I also missed the older steps.
What's it about the older steps that you like the most, though?
Well, my favorite of all of them was the books, because I liked having it would tell you, oh, okay, I gotta go farm, gotta go kill these things, and then okay, now I have to go do this dungeon, and now.
So you like the list, having to fulfill the list type deal, or?
I guess so, yeah.
Was it going back to content that you don't normally do?
Yeah, going like it's injecting people into all this content, and you get to just like be in the world and play the game, and especially the fates part is probably.
So if we had some kind of like book type thing in Eureka, is like your big hope maybe, or?
No, I don't want it only in Eureka. I would want it outside Eureka.
Open world,
Okay.
and I think
kind of combination.
Yeah,
Okay.
the open world felt like it suffered a little bit in Stormblood.
I think so too.
I think with us going to the first, I feel like they'll be pushing open world more, but just on the first.
I hope so.
Instead of, like something like Eureka, I feel
It'll
like
take us out
they'll
of
want us to be
the original ones.
Yeah, well, and you consider too that, I mean, with the way the game has progressed and the limitations and stuff like that, the areas on the first should be pretty big, right, compared to stuff we've seen before, and so I think they should push open world on the first. But I mean, that's not to say people would hate another Eureka. I mean, there's pros and cons to it, right? Like we've talked about this. I'm sure everybody's talked about this to death at this point, but there's pros and cons to everything. So who knows how they'll do it.
I'm really interested in what mythology will be in the relic weapons, because if they're from the first, it'll be new stuff that we don't know. Interestingly,
That's true.
I don't know how they're going to handle it, but it could be cool.
The other thing is final relics that all have individual glows, please.
Yeah, please, yes.
That's important, please.
Yeah, I would like a unique glow, please.
I enjoy all the additional pieces.
And no RNG. No RNG. Would be
It's
nice.
never, ever gonna happen in an MMO ever.
That's fine. I don't care.
Maybe
I would like it, but
I don't want to have to grind
RNG to look like the job.
Yeah.
Supposed to be from, and not just something you pull out of a trash can.
Yeah.
Ow.
Some of the final Eureka relics look weird. I don't get it. I don't know what they were going for.
Very esoteric.
Yeah.
It's just
it's not
everybody's
even talking about
got
if they look
preferences.
bad or not. It's literally just they all are the same theme, and it's like that's not what a relic is. A relic is supposed to fit the job.
Right.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have a theme.
Very good point.
Yeah.
The originals were the best. Artemis bow, bravura, they all fit the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These don't.
Yeah, no, not even close.
I'm still really confused as to what the Dragoon relic is supposed to be. Like it's weird.
Yeah, it's like
you
a little.
pull it out, and then it's like part of a clock. Like you pull it out, and the thing just go like. All right.
It's weird. I don't understand.
I don't understand. All right. So that's it for the interviews that came out this week, or all the better ones that we found. So now next week, it's already happened in Europe right now. They just wrapped up the media tour for Shadowbringers, but next week we're gonna be out at the media tour for North America. And so we wanted to just get those last minute kind of predictions in. That way, we can still say if we we bring up something and it happens, this is our moment. Called it, right here. We thought this might happen. Here it is. Called it.
I got one.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're ready to go.
Let's
just jump right in.
Yes.
So because people have told me I'm a fool for thinking this. Many people. Gunblades are gonna shoot. It's gonna be able to shoot a bullet. People were arguing with me like no, they don't shoot bullets. These gunblades don't shoot. It has to have a ranged attack. What are you gonna do? Throw your gunblade like a boomerang? You're gonna shoot a bullet.
It's tomahawk.
Yeah.
It will be the
I mean, you
bullet.
might shoot magic,
Yeah, you're gonna pull a
magic-
but
trigger.
it'll
and
probably be.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, it'll probably be magic from a bullet.
yeah.
the trailer
something-
literally
something's
has
gonna-
Thancred reloading the gunblade.
Yeah.
I mean,
But with what?
It uses ammo, but they say that it doesn't actually fire. It just
Yeah.
like
It's
It
to
hits
like
his
explode.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're going on the Final Fantasy VIII Gunblade, which is like you pull the trigger and it like vibrates extra. But then there's the 13 Gunblade, which actually shoots bullets. You know,
Yeah.
like,
They said
it
that they're
converts.
yes,
Yeah. I'm fully expecting there to be some kind of ammo mechanic with Gunbreaker.
You're just gonna pull a pistol out of your pocket. Left hand,
Even if it doesn't necessarily shoot, right? We know that they put something in there to charge something. That will be their job gauge. That's
Yeah, you
my
have the 6 bullets job gauge. and
right.
boop, 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 and
Right.
I think it might be maybe like Dark Arts-esque where it's a charge system.
Exactly.
instead, where it charges
Exactly.
over time, and you can choose when to use it.
So here's a question, because I know you play like tanks a lot, Mary. So
Oh, yeah.
one of the things that I was thinking about with Gunbreaker is where it fits in the meta so far right now. You know, main tank, off tank. What could they bring? What would you like to see them bring that's different?
So Yoshida is thankfully very keenly aware of how we treat the tanks in the current meta and how Paladin,
Yeah, thank goodness.
despite them wanting Paladin to be a main tank, he understands people use it as an off tank. Pretty
Yeah.
exclusive.
Good.
Yeah. I'm
And
glad he
so
knows.
I have faith moving forward that either they're going to just flat out adjust it or they're going to make it so Paladin will be one of these off tanks ultimately
I don't
when it
want
comes
that.
to their balancing.
Yeah.
I really like, just aesthetically, I want Paladin to be more want to main tank.
I think it would make sense. for it.
Aesthetically,
Sure.
yes, absolutely.
Aesthetic.
Absolutely.
But obviously, the way its abilities work, it's way better as an off tank.
Yeah.
In that, and I kind of agree. And so what I would like to see is Warrior and Paladin being the main tanks, since those were like the originals, right?
Yeah,
I would like that, yeah.
You have Warrior, and then you have
piss
Paladin.
off every
Dark
warrior.
I mean, they still do what they
Warriors
do.
are already main tanks, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you know, like
But
that's
given the opportunity, I feel like warriors for a long time have had that mentality that they just want to get off of the main tank train and start smashing shit again, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
the
mean,
problem with that though is like they'll have to severely change how Paladin works right now
Mhm.
if they want
They
it
will.
to be a main tank.
mhm.
It's a weird game because I mean this has come up a few times. We've talked about it where everyone was like, wow, that's weird. You have like a new tank and a range DPS, not like a tank and healer, and talking about balance and all this stuff. And then Yoshida's like, we wanted a tank because of that like MTOT thing, right? But then he also like confirms that like they have no idea what they're gonna do with the tanks. So it's like he immediately like takes away like the reasoning for it. But it's one of those things where like aesthetically, I've thought that the whole time Paladin should be a main tank. But
Yeah.
like and aesthetically, Gunbreaker's not a main tank.
no, I don't
Right,
think so at all.
he's not even. He's wearing like a leather coat. Like it's not armor.
Yeah.
Like he's OT.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Like how do you figure out if they go that route? We still don't know if they're doing that or not. Because he's like, all right, either we do 2 and 2, 2 MT, 2 OT, or we make them so that they're all just good at tanking. Like they weren't really. He wasn't really sure how they're going to tackle that.
It's,
It
I
would
think
be
it's one
good
of
if
those,
all the tanks were good at tanking, I think.
it's one of those things where I think ultimately it's only really going to matter to a very specific subset of players
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to be viable in everything. But when it comes to the end game meta
Yeah.
that's going to evolve from Shadowbringers,
Yeah, like,
whatever they sort of like force as the role, it doesn't really matter if it is a main tank or an off tank. If say
Right.
the two off tanks synergize better,
Then
we're just going to bring those anyways.
exactly.
Right.
there's
So-
going to be a priority system. So like if you go into a pug or something and you zone in, you're like, oh, I'm a gunbreaker, he's a warrior. There's just a priority of like, okay, the warrior will pull. Like they'll just be some, like right now that's how it is too. Like, I'm a paladin, he's a dark knight. All right, the dark knight's gonna pull.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it'll be like that, just now with 4.
Yeah.
It'll have a
And
priority.
probably a little more streamlined
Mm.
Yeah.
if they
I hope so.
like
Gosh, we
really
hope, yeah.
divide them.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they define them, I think their toolkits will represent that better. I mean, obviously, like if you go into like we're already calling like Gunbreaker the OT, but like you can still queue up for anything and still tank on it. Like it's fine, but it's that higher in-game content where you're gonna want a main tank and an off tank, and you need to have the skills to be able to complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, really, in endgame, it's kind of just both the tanks are the tank, right? It's just like we're just combining all of our CDs to make one strong tank.
Right.
It's really just which one loses the least amount of DPS by pulling in tank stance.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a
entirely
that's a very good way to say it, because you are just one tank. You are just one healer too, theoretically, when you're looking at that, because you're splitting the party. Yeah, but you have to have the kind of cooperation. I've never even really thought about it that way. How do we want to do this? Like, should we just then ask Larry?
So that's
What-
tank. Yeah, like what's your like your big thing you want to see happen, Larry?
I'm ready.
He's excited. He just really
We're all sitting down. We're ready to hear it.
I want Phoenix from Summoner. I want Red Mage to have more AoE and something else to worry about for single target. I want Black Mage to have, I don't know,
Raise.
raise that cost a polyglot or something like that. It's just expensive.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that Summoner Phoenix, please.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. That's why I was like, I'm waiting. Yeah, I want to talk about that. Because it's interesting. Like, where do they go with Summoner now?
Oh, that was the other thing. What I want, with every Summoner going from a Realm Reborn to Heavensward to Stormblood, there was always some kind of phase that they had to fix. So, like, in a Realm Reborn, you had the 4 dots that you were keeping track of, the 3 on the target and Shadowfire, and then you just had, like, downtime. So they were like, okay, in Heavensward, we'll add Dreadworm Trance, and that'll fill in the downtime. Now with Stormblood, we have Bahamut, but there are phases where you have Bahamut ready, but you need to wait for Aetherflow. So you're like, okay, I have like 40 seconds where I need to be doing nothing, just prepping for Bahamut.
Yeah.
So what I really want to see in Shadowbringers is just fill in that gap of when I have Bahamut ready and when I need Aetherflow.
Yeah.
Put something there.
I agree with that. That's I main Summoner as well. I love Summoner. I've always loved Summoner, but that's what I'm looking for too. That kind of dead space. But I'm afraid that I don't know if they want to fill the dead space, because that gives. I mean, Summoner. I think you also know. I know you also know it's the most mobile. I mean, so mobile. It's so incredibly mobile. Like I don't have to worry about anything at any time, really.
You lose almost nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I wonder how they're going to tread that line of adding more things, but still being mobile. Like I wonder where they're going to fall in that spectrum.
And
Tester.
kind of along that line too. I mean, you have the rotation, right?
Yeah.
And there's the skill of like, if you can do the rotation like perfectly, like, you're like one of the best summoners, whatever. But there's also that line of like, you don't maybe necessarily want to make that perfect rotation even longer. Right.
Oh, no,
so
make it
it's
please.
yeah. It's that weird like dance where like you don't want to make it
opener.
super crazy, but you want to make it a little friendly. Well, I mean, and keep in mind too, this is also the save dev team for Stormblood. They're like, we're gonna like do some action changes and stuff like that. You'll have less buttons. Also, some duties will have their own specific button, and then we're gonna give you 10 cross-class abilities by the end of the expansion. Thanks. Less buttons. Less buttons. Yeah. All right.
I do have a summoner prediction.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
As it is. So they've been really good about a sort of power creep aesthetically with the job.
Sure.
And so with Summoner, you had your Eggies and then you had Bahamut, and it feels like the next thing you have to have that source of like you're growing in strength, your character's getting more powerful.
Right.
What I think would be fantastic, and they don't have an excuse to do this anymore. Their original excuse no longer stands because you can scale the size of Bahamut. So you have, you know, Bahamut Eggy. What if we have actual full-on primals? Not, you know, not a primal, obviously, but actual Ifrit, actual Garuda.
That's what I want.
That would replace you.
You know,
Like,
it's interesting too, looking at it from a lore perspective, because obviously, like, all these new job quests are going to be on the first, right? And so, I guess the other question, especially for summoner, right? Because you're pulling from the ether, you're pulling, you know, parts of these essences out. What happens if you go to the first and you're like, I got Phoenix, woo, and then you go back to the source and like the aether's not there to pull that.
Face, Larry. You had the same epiphany that I had just then. I was like, you know what? That's true.
Of the Bahamut lore?
Yeah, because you use the leftover. Yeah. There's none on the first. What are we gonna do? I didn't.
You
think
go to
about
the
that. Thank
you go to the first and you learn Phoenix, and then you come back to the source and it just pulls out like a Louis Schwab minion.
Don't replace my Bahamut. I had a nightmare about that. I had a nightmare that I went to the media tour and we were playing the game and I went on Summoner and there was no more Bahamut. They removed it. It was some and then at the interview with Yoshi P, I had to ask him, why did you remove Bahamut? I was very upset.
And his answer was like this deeply personal attack against you.
I hate Larry.
We saw your Bahamut video, and it's just no.
You did this.
It was you.
You did this to yourself, Larry.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because the reason why we can go into Dreadrune Trance and the reason why we can summon Demi Bahamut is because Bahamut's Aether is everywhere.
Yeah.
So
they're not even gonna address it, I bet.
Koji is really gonna hate me next time we talk to him.
Write it down.
Yeah,
just go with it, man. Just
right.
People are like sponges, and you sponged up all.
Yeah,
the
no, you brought it with you. It's in you.
Okay.
It's like radiation. You know, you just hang out in radiated areas for a while. It's just you just have it. It's just there.
We pick up the Bahamut radiation. Okay.
He's growing in your heart physically.
Has someone done that? You know, that series of pictures with like a person walking on the beach and there's 2 footsteps, and then there's one when you like God picks him up. I just want to see Bahamut's footsteps next to you, and then he picks you up. Please, someone make that. Please, someone do that.
That's like one of those like good feel posters. Like Larry's gonna get one of those and just like put it in his bathroom. Like he'll have guests over that'll just like look at the wall and be like, "What the hell? What is this?"
Don't remove my Bahamut. Please don't.
Oh gosh.
I didn't buy this, by the way. Wait, I'm blurry.
Yeah, your camera, your focus is
focus.
Oh boy.
He's being censored.
For those listening to the audio, Larry's got a Bahamut body pillow.
It is
Whatever.
glorious.
You can't see me anymore.
It's distracted by Bahamut.
Scoot up a little. There you go.
Yeah. The camera is also excited by Bahamut.
It is.
It
was
upset.
so hard to it was tears. Blurry.
Oh,
yes.
it was crying. So
He was
beautiful.
censoring it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I guess we should go through everyone else's.
Yeah, I'll what do you want to see?
That's a tough question. I want to see what they do with the meta as it is currently, specifically with debuffs and buffs and how they rebalance it. Because we got a couple more last time, and I want to know, is this finally the time that we get rid of piercing, slashing, that sort of thing? Or do they double down? You know, like this is the point where it's like they could get rid of it because, you know, they were like, we kind of don't like it, and people are like, it kind of enforces the meta. Do they finally get rid of it? You know, is this finally the time?
It's one of those things where either they look at it and say it's not really like, yes, it's important, but it's also kind of hindering what comps are wanted for raids, right?
I like it, but I don't.
If they keep it, everybody needs to be able to do their own.
Yes.
And then it kind of takes away the fun of the exactly. And it's like, I love that extra layer, but it's so important, you know, or at least it's perceived to be so important that I don't know.
I think that the challenge is because, and I think we've brought up that idea that Zen had before, where everybody should be able to do their own debuff, and I love that. But I at the same time, you also want, like we were talking about before with the tanks, you want those synergies between jobs, that complementary stuff.
It would say if you had a bard and a dragoon, the dragoon would do it. If you only have a bard, the bard does it. You know?
Yeah.
If you don't have a dragoon in your party, take care of it yourself. If you do,
then is it do you just revamp all the jobs and give them an ability that you just decide to weave in and out of your rotation? If
probably
you don't, okay,
could work. I mean, it's a hard question, right? It's like
well, it's like Reign of Death in the beginning. It had damage down, or vulnerability up on the
I forget
something like that, right? So you had to weave it in. But then it got to a point where it didn't actually help at all.
And people just stopped caring.
So so you stopped using it for that. So you could use it or you could not use it. It's
and you know, especially you look at there was one, was it the White Ravens or something that had like one of those, like a piercing debuff for like -1 or something like that.
What did?
I might be thinking like 1.0 stats or something, but like it's one of those things where either like you need to make it widely available or you like really you double down on it, and that's like one of the new things you look at is debuff stats or something, you know, like
because I love what it adds. I absolutely love what it adds. That's cool. That's another layer, you know, like I want more layers to the combat, you know, because that's always fun, but it's like which of these are the most important layers? Because, you know, like we said, we're getting even more buttons. We're gonna have to get rid of something. What are they gonna do about it? Really,
that's the other thing. I mean, you look at this. What do you guys think is gonna happen with cross-class abilities? Because they just kind of gave up and just gave everything to us. After they tried to, you know, they looked at jobs and they're like, all right, both, you know, all of these healers should have this ability. We're just going to make it a cross-class ability. That way they all have access to the same ability. Do you think that they're going to keep it? Do you think they're going to just get rid of all of them and then they just give each of those healers like protect in their job abilities?
That would be the way I'd want to see them do it. I'd like to see it just put back on classes individually, but I don't necessarily know that one way is better than the other, or that I would mind which way they do it. So
the way I see it is, it's really just the idea of role actions. It's homogenized. It's all the same. Everybody has the same. Whereas we're already losing a lot of them. Things like Invigorate, it's gone. I think it'd be a good time to just cut it. And not only would that give them more room to add more unique abilities to each job without inflating them further, but it would also just, you know, add more flavor to the jobs.
Yes.
You know what else it would do? It would keep somebody from going, oh, I didn't know I had Protect.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
I mean, that's
that version.
Well, you know, and something I would like to see, and I say this as a dragoon that hates Dragon Sight. Take the abilities, the effects of these cross-class things, or take, you know, the effects of something like Dragon Sight and weave them into other abilities. So you still get those effects, but they're just, you combine it with something else that you're already using, or, you know, that way you condense them a little bit, that gets rid of more actions, but you still have the benefits of them.
Well, I can't imagine some of them just leaving without having to replace it somehow, like caster, like having Swift Cast and Lucid and Addle and things like that. Like they're all like, at least right now they're required.
Some of those just need to stay as they are.
Right. So like I think like an easy fix without changing too much, if they were to just do a really easy fix, is put it down to like 5 actions that are the absolute required ones and just have only those, and that's it. And so you have the cross roll for caster, they get those 5 actions. Healers, they get those 5 actions. So either that or completely delete it and customize those actions for each job instead.
And I mean, it's perfectly possible. I mean, like it kind of gets granular, but like if every healer had an ability to protect, but they were different in some way, you know, like that could be interesting, but then it gets kind of ridiculous.
Everybody Raise is different.
Yeah, it's true. You know, it's interesting. Like, and I don't just mean like name. I mean, and an icon. I mean, like, there's a little bit of a difference. You know, like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that gets
One has shell, one has something that's like shell but is different.
right. But then you'll start layering them on
Subject, I
top
don't
of
know.
each other. So I don't know. I don't know. Like, I would love to see that sort of thing. You know,
Well,
where
they also have the ability to make things not stack, so you'd have to pick.
that's true. That's very true. They could just enforce it there, but like, I want more of everything because I
It
love
could
the
be
way
varied
the battle system
per
works.
fight too, because some fights definitely have more magic damage that the whole party takes.
Yeah, but then that goes back into the bring. I'm not going to say the old WoW standby. Bring the player, not the class. I said it, but it's like then you have to really. Then it's like the piercing debuff, and then the slashing debuff. It's like how do you figure which ones, and then whose is the worst, and they're going to be perceived as the less useful one. You know,
Right.
Yeah,
I guess
I don't know.
kind of along those lines too. One of the things I remember was kind of an important point for them for Stormblood was to bring up that bottom DPS, right?
Yeah.
To make those casual players get them a little better. What are your thoughts on that for this expansion, and what do you guys think about talking about cross-class abilities? That idea of there being a level of customization or choices for your jobs. Should you have the option to pick and choose from a handful of things that you can like specialize in or something, or should everybody just have access to everything, and that way you don't end up with a DPS that's like, I didn't know I had a thing that reduced enmity, or something along those lines, where you have like goad, right? For some DPS, like they don't even think about it, but then you get into a party with a certain type of tank or something that's like shouting at the DPS for goad, and you're like, no, like I don't have that. Why would I have that? I have this instead. It makes issues, right? It causes issues. So what do you guys think they should do?
I didn't have a problem with how we only had 5 of 10 initially in Stormblood. I didn't think there was an issue with that. I had a macro to switch Peloton out for something else in dungeons only. I didn't have the stun that I used to have permanently all the time, but that was okay because other classes did permanently on their abilities.
Sure.
As a bard. So it didn't bother me. I don't think anybody else that I play with all the time had an issue picking 5 things that were relevant for the dungeon. Every now and then someone would be like, crap, I forgot to switch blah. And it ended up making things maybe a little bit harder, but in the end it was fine. I think that they unlocked all 10 for the more casual player who feels that they need all of those things. And I don't want to bad talk anybody by saying that,
Sure.
but it's like, you don't need all of those.
There's
no
an ability, and that's fine.
It made things easier. It made things more convenient, but you didn't need them.
Right. I mean, and for me, I mean, I know that there's like people would do the macros to switch stuff out. For me though, like, I mean, I just play DPS. I just go in and do whatever. And like the idea of like setting up all like different role actions for different content, like I ain't gonna do that.
Like some fights you needed to, like
That's the difference.
You needed to swap, you're like, okay, this fight I need to take arm's length, or this fight I need to take the whatever it's called, the positionals.
True North, yeah.
True North, yeah.
Like some fights you would take that, sometimes you would swap them, or whatever. But now that we had 10, you could be like, oh, I can even take like all of them. I could take Bloodbath and Second Wind too.
Yeah.
Like I could take everything. But I don't know, like they're not required in order to function in the game, right? It's just nice to have those things. So like we take them now because we can have all 10. But if they were to just reduce it to just literally only the ones that are required to function, and then that's it, because everything else is just an illusion of choice. Like you don't even need them.
Right, exactly.
Right. That's the problem. Like I like having a choice, but it's really just illusion. You're not going to ever use it.
And at that point, I feel like it's just kind of redundant to have the system and just bake them into the jobs. Make them have flavor. It doesn't have to be anything crazy different. Provoke between the 3 tanks could work the same.
Yeah.
But for warrior, you do a little taunt. Maybe for paladins, a little shield slam. Gunbreaker, you shoot a blank in their face. little things to give the jobs flavor. Aesthetically, despite it being just provoke.
When you bring that up, I think I would also rather have them put in the jobs, because then they have to make cool animations for them.
Yeah.
There you go.
Job cool animations. Yeah.
It's all about glamour and how things look, man.
It is. It really is.
No, honestly though, like that would be cooler than having a choice that may or may not matter.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
And just squash it down to just the ones that you really need and just put those in the job. I think that's what I would like the most too. Yeah.
Yeah. Excited?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do. If they listen to us, that's what they're going to do.
That's our final answer.
They're struggling right now, going. Oh,
They're
that's
listening
nice.
right now, working on the build for the
Yeah.
NA Media Tour. They're like, "That's a good idea. We need to do
Get the
this right
animators
now."
working.
All the healers and the casters have their own Swift cast.
That would be cool, though. That would be really cool.
Somebody flip through some pages.
Yeah.
No more spinning your book.
Yeah.
They're like going through like I
goodness.
bookmarked the Fastcast page. What was the incantation for Fastcast? It's over here somewhere.
Oh, yeah. They just pull out little cliff notes. It's a little smaller version of your book, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll just read it from this one. Oh yeah, it's just one word now.
Books
Like
just get
reading-
replaced with like a
reading a
like a
In
a
class,
pack of
on top
Post-it
of
notes or something.
Your school book, smaller book on top of your book.
There you go.
Please don't make that our relic. Just the book on a book.
Book on a
The
book.
manga.
Yes.
There you go. Zanisha, what are your hopefuls and predictions for?
So, I don't necessarily have any predictions. I don't want Bard to be a caster again.
You have a desperate hope.
Oh, along those lines, I mean, we talked about tanks a little bit. Now we're gonna have three ranged DPS, right? So how do we think those are going to work with each other? How those are gonna be different?
You don't have to make them work with each other.
They have to be
Probably
really
not going to.
careful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Might
they have
have
to be
to.
really careful
Yeah.
with what they do with Dancer. Or they can make a double range meta very easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was already just about there, you know? Like
I think the thing that kept it from being more prevalent was just machinist, either for some people being difficult, for some people being like just makes you a zombie because it's so boring.
Yeah.
So that helped to prevent that. But I think if they can make machinist better, and with the fact that so many people want to play Dancer, it's very likely to at least be tried at this point.
Do you think they would give a casting bar to one of those, and not
God,
on
I
the
hope
others?
not.
I hope not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe, but
I'm just devil's advocate. Like I'm just.
yeah, putting it out there. I
Maybe
mean,
cast for dances.
yeah, you know, I could see.
Yeah.
it kind
Dancer-
of makes sense. There's precedence for it in other games.
I mean, if you gave Dancer the samurai treatment, where it's like, you know, do these three things, and then you press this button, and it's a small
Do a
cast.
jig.
That's what do the
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I'd be okay with that.
Ranged with a little casts.
Yeah. You
Give
know,
it
that's
some
not so bad.
potency
I
so it
imagine, I imagine there's
yeah.
going to be one that's very heavily supportive, and then one that's sort of like the selfish DPS that's a little
Sure.
bit less, maybe more on the ninja-ish side,
Mhm.
and then
Okay.
there'll be the halfway point.
Yeah, they could split it out that way. They just really do have to be very careful with Dancer. Like it's it's already the new hotness. It's beautiful so far, and it's something like people were clamoring about, and like Machinist, people don't really care. I mean, they could do a good job bringing it back, but it's still like, man.
No, there are. I feel like there are honestly still a lot of people who like the aesthetic of machinist, and will try the hell out of it when it's really
That's me. That's me right here. I'm
There you
terrible at it. I can't be a good machinist right now. I'd love for them to tweak some stuff. For any job, I would love them to like it's that idea of like being so dependent on like ping, right? But it's that weird balance of like if you have it and you know the rotation, like you can be really great, but at the same time, if you don't have that ping, like you're screwed, right? So it's finding that balance while also still rewarding skill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's what originally kept me away from Ninja, because I had a horrible time when it first came out. I just had a horrible time, and I was like, I really like it. I really like the role, but I'm like, I'm not going to play it, you know? Like, now, the servers are 70 miles that way from me, so that's
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a little different being West Coast now.
Yeah,
Helps a little
exactly.
bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know, just like we said, like with Dancer is back in Heavensward at near the end, we had the double ranged meta because Bard Machinist and you would bring Dragoon and it would buff 2 jobs now.
Mhm.
Right.
Became the super DPS meta. So
Yeah.
they got to be really careful with whatever. First of all, whatever they do with piercing is going to affect that a lot. Whatever they do with whatever Dancer is going to be, like piercing or slashing, whatever
Mhm.
that's going to be, that depends too. Whatever, if it brings a lot, like if it brings things that complement Bard or complement Machinist or something, it's just if you don't need the raise, maybe you'll end up taking 2 ranged.
Yeah.
So
Very,
it's
very
got to
true.
be like really carefully looked at.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you know, I hadn't even thought about it before, but you mentioned the idea of Dancer being piercing or range. The fact that they went with just kind of the generic throwing weapon for Dancer was so that they could use different types of throwing weapons. So like,
Oh. Don't even like. I hadn't thought of that.
yeah, like
it's not
would
just chakram.
Yeah.
right? It's not. It could be
Throwing
throwing.
knives.
So
Are
you could
the
have.
weapons
You
going
could
to
have.
affect your
You
abilities?
could. Are you gonna have something that would be a piercing weapon and something that would be a slashing weapon? Like,
No.
I don't know if they do that.
I don't think they would do
That's
that.
too
I don't
much.
think they would. I'm just talking. But yeah, like,
Yeah.
hmm.
That'd be really
So-
interesting, but I don't know. Yeah.
So we've been talking about the double range setup. Do we actually like? Is that really a bad thing?
Yeah, because then you kick
Yes.
out caster. You're
Yes,
Well,
it's a
I
bad
mean-
thing for Larry and I. Yes.
Like,
not just
Having-
us not being selfish. but
yeah.
having,
Poor
having
poor
the
summoners.
ability to build a party that's not always same job, same slot. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Well, it is, but keep in mind they want to be able to have all of your jobs are viable in the meta, right? So like, think of back when Ramu came out, and so people just didn't bring tanks because
Yeah.
you would just do Titan and
Yeah.
tank it with Titan. So that would essentially be the same thing of you just don't bring a caster because it's just
So, but
completely.
if we could get all of the jobs to be viable versus a
Yeah.
couple being better,
yeah,
so
that's
that each of
different.
them could be slotted into like a
Yeah.
DPS was a DPS regardless. Then
It's-
and you'd be okay with this mismatch, yeah.
Yeah, and it's different though because it's like we all know, everyone here knows that you can beat it with anything. Really, you can beat it with anything.
Mhm.
But it's the community perception of that meta that really
Right.
informs what people want to play, what people
Mhm.
think are good, and that is where they would run into trouble there.
Okay.
And it wouldn't really be like, oh, you couldn't bring it. I'd still play Summoner, whatever.
Yeah,
I play
absolutely.
Summoner all the time. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't want the perception to be you don't need caster or range. Like, I don't want double caster meta being the thing either. Like,
I don't want that. Yeah.
No.
It all comes back to that weird game of balance because you know when you kind of look at everything we've talked about, right, with what we want from tanks and ranged and cross class, it's that balancing act of you need each job to have an identity, but you also like want them to be able to do everything, but you don't want them to be able to do everything, right? There's that really delicate like act of like
hard.
what should
So
they be able
hard.
to do so that everything is viable versus what
Yeah.
it's a
And-
mess.
Yeah. And it's really all perception. It's really all perception.
Yeah.
You know, like, and
Yeah.
that's it. And
Well,
But
you know,
see
like we talked
the
about
top
with
in-game groups doing the two
Yeah.
range. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, that must be the way to do it. If that same
Right.
group is
Yeah.
and at the end of the
that's
day,
way to do it.
at the end of the day, that's where it's gonna matter. I mean, you know, like I mentioned earlier, it's like even if Gunbreaker's an off tank, you can still take it into a dungeon and you'll be fine. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You know, it's just for that real like nitpicky like top percentage of people that are doing
Oh, that's a good
stuff
point.
like UCOB and
because people listen.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I got a thought just now. So
Uh-huh.
we're talking about, you know, group viability and
Yeah.
role actions and all that's, you know, kind of mixed together. What if, let me run this by you. What if they got rid of, you know, role actions and
Uh-huh.
so provoke is provoke, but it's different all 3 tanks, you know, they have their own animations.
Right.
But in place of a role action system, we have a trait system.
Ah.
So, for example, let's say you have warrior, and you could choose a trait to add slashing, resistance down, or maybe, 5% damage. And so a few different groups have that slashing down that they could choose from, but you only need to bring one. And so it's not so much, we have to bring this job. It's this person sets it. Everybody else can do, 5% damage instead.
Yeah. And I can see that working. It's one of those, I don't want to say the actual term because it's not quite PG-13, but the buff buddy from WoW, like, hey, I'm the druid, you're a druid, you're gonna do I forget, it was way back.
It was like
you're gonna do the
dragon kick.
Yeah, like dragon kick,
Yeah,
but it's like, yeah, you're the one doing that, warrior, like I, the samurai, am gonna, like, I don't, it wouldn't be that way, but you know what I mean?
That's almost back to those buffs though, the slashing
yeah, but it's like,
I guess being able to pick is the thing that needs to be.
That's the difference. Yeah,
the idea is like, so let's say you have, right now it's maim adds slashing.
Yes.
But what if it was instead of trait where maim just does maim, it's just an attack, but the trait is either adds it so it has the slashing debuff, or it just adds like, so it does 5% more damage. And so if you don't need that slashing because somebody else has it,
Something else.
You can go for something else.
Yeah, and and then since there would be more than one trait, then they could balance off that kind of trend that you would go, oh well, you do less DPS than me, so you'll do that. They can balance that trend with other traits that are mutually exclusive or something.
But then at the same time, like, what if everybody just puts the damage buff on, and then that gets
Oh well, then you're not.
That would be harder to balance.
Well, no, because your numbers might not be as high because the damage potential from having that buff would be missed.
Large.
Yeah, but then you're not in a raid group, so you're not even optimizing anyway.
Yeah, it's like,
That's true.
Exactly. So it's like, it's one of those. I mean, I like that idea. I've always wanted them to do more with traits in general. I mean, like, we got more, and that's cool. And some of them,
they just kind of happen when you reach.
Yeah, they just exist.
Yeah.
I like
There's
that
no
idea.
choice.
Like, for instance, let's
That's a good
say you had a tank, you had Gunbreaker in your party, and then you had a Dragoon and a Bard, right? So maybe if you didn't have the Dragoon and the Dragoon was like, I'm gonna go Samurai, now your Bard doesn't have piercing. Maybe Gunbreaker has a trait where they could be like, okay, I'm gonna turn my piercing buff on, but now I do a little bit less damage, but I'm gonna give you piercing.
Yeah, because you'll do more damage than me. You know? Like,
but then if we have the Dragoon in the party, the Gunbreaker could be like, okay, I'll turn my piercing off, so I'll do a little bit more damage myself,
and
because the Dragoon is already giving piercing.
Yeah, it could really work. Yeah, and that'd be really fun to make your groups out of. It would give you a lot more options because people have to play things they don't want to play in the raid. In raiding, like in every other content, you might not have to, but in raids you try and avoid it, but sometimes it's just the way it is. That's just the way it is.
This is what we need, and you're the only one who doesn't have a job picked.
I mean, any class-based game, any multiplayer class-based game, that's always an issue. Like, it's the big thing. It's like with Overwatch right now. It's like the idea of like the 3 support 3 tank comp, right? Like that's it. You can't. You like to play DPS? Too bad. Like,
dude.
Yeah,
I'm Genji.
At the end of the day, like, people want to play what they enjoy, and if they can make that so that's an option. Like,
or at least, at least seems like more of an option.
It seems like more of an option,
Yeah, because perception, it's so hard. Like,
you're always gonna fall into that. Yeah.
I mean, it might be one of the reasons why we don't have as many MMOs as we used to nowadays. It's just, it's diabolical. Trying to balance it. It's just, yeah.
So what, Zen? What else did you want to see? Because we cut you off pretty quick when you were going into your list. Yeah.
I mean, that was the first thing that came to mind was.
Oh, sure.
I'm gonna try the hell out of Dancer, but I do accept that I may not like it, and I might just stay with Bard. So I don't want it to be a caster ever again.
I think you're safe.
That's fair.
Really, I don't. I like sitting there and waiting to see what happens and being like, woo, ew,
Ooh, oh, I hate it.
Yeah. Thanks, I hate it.
Nice.
So, I don't really have much in the way of predictions
Okay.
Okay.
or anything.
My hope
Yeah.
is that they get rid of that Blood of the Dragon timer for Dragoon. Because after playing Samurai, like, it's not fair. It's not fair. Samurai, you can build up your Kenki gauge or like use one of your things, and you could stay logged in for like 5 hours, and it doesn't deplete. It's still there. Like, you can use it whenever. Blood of the Dragon, like, if you're running through a dungeon and the tank takes too long to pull, you're done. Like, that's it. Like,
Or at least keep the eyeball.
I get the idea that you've never played Monk, my friend.
I mean, well, it should be the same thing like with that. Like, it's just the idea of the fact that you know, like, what you're doing could take a dive because somebody else isn't doing something else like quick enough. Like, that kind of sucks.
That happens to a lot of classes.
Well,
though. It happens to Bard too.
Right. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's just like it's as somebody that
you just
loves.
want, like, since they've been buffing Monk a little bit in this particular type thing for their stacks, right? They've been giving them more ways to keep it going. So you would just like something like that
to keep it going.
I think for me it's that fact that, like, I main Dragoon and then Samurai came out and I'm like, this is so nice. Like, why don't we have something like this?
Keeping your resources.
Keeping
Yeah.
That, and I would love to see Machinists not be so reliant on ping and for it to be a little bit easier to get into.
Sure.
Because I think right now, between the ping and just the rotation and the way you build stuff up, like, there's going to be a rework with Dancer, right? Between Bard, Dancer, and Machinist, with, like, there's gonna be, you know, one is maybe viable more for one thing because they all are kind of support but kind of not. So I'm really curious to see how they do that, because I mean I love the aesthetics of Machinist, but, like, I also, like, played the hell out of Dancer when it came out in 11, and I loved playing that. Even though I know it's not going to be the same, I'm really curious to see, you know, if like Dancer becomes more focused towards support versus, you know, like a more damage-based Bard or Machinist or something. I'm curious to see where they start to differentiate a little bit.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Does any of us play healers? We really haven't talked much about healers.
Oh, yeah, you know, that's true.
I've played them, but not
me.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard because I feel that because of the way the community reacted to no healer, I really feel that they gotta give them a little bit, you know, like they gotta give them something. I mean, they don't have to, but I think that it would help ease that kind of, like, well, I don't get a healer. I've been playing the same, you know, like, for forever.
They need to figure out what healer does what, and they need to give them some new fancy toys.
Yeah, I mean,
do we feel like healers aren't in an okay place right now? Is anybody like, oh, terrible right now? Hard to say.
I mean, I do content and I don't die, so
me either. I can't speak to healers. So.
Balance wise, they're okay, but White Mage is definitely on the weaker end, and it's just like it has a lot of.
As far as healing or DPS?
Both.
Or just both? Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Yeah.
Astrology just outperforms it in AOE heals. So, like, White Mage doesn't, and then so, like, its Lily system is really clunky.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And
so there's mine. I want to see Lily's changed.
Clipping is really clunky because it doesn't have any or many insta casts.
Yeah.
Like Gallard and Astro does. Well, Astro has its DPS spell is like half the GCD, so it has time to clip, to not clip. Whereas White Mage, its GCD spell is full GCD, so you'll clip if you try to.
No matter what you do.
Yeah.
So fix that, and then obviously rework the Lily system.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, since
I don't understand it. I just don't.
You know, they tried something.
It feels like an afterthought.
Yeah. It was like, oh god, what do we do?
We need something. Flowers.
Yeah. You could completely play White Mage without even.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need it. You can just turn the game down. Doesn't do anything.
It's one of those things where it's like, hey,
accidentally.
job specific UIs. What do we give to White Mage?
Shit.
I like flowers. Flowers.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it makes me wonder. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, I do heal in dungeons every now and then, but that's not. I would not say I have a healer's mind.
Yeah, that's just holy spam then.
Yes. So mostly I play Astro because I really like support causes. So I like
yeah.
to do the card thing. But
Yeah.
if I am super freaking tired, then I go on White Mage and turn my brain off, and all I have to do is
Yeah.
hit like
There
2
you go.
buttons. Nobody
Yeah.
dies.
You're making me want to crack open. I can't remember if it was the first Stormblood art book or the Encyclopedia 2 that had the concept. Probably the art book, the job gauges when they were doing job gauge development, all the different ideas.
Mhm.
Probably the art book.
Yeah,
I kind of want to go back and see what they had for White Mage now.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that chapter. But I was wondering, and it's speculation, but the theme of Shadowbringers is so much about the darkness. Do you think they start putting that into job abilities, or would that suck because after Shadowbringers, you still have these?
I was wondering.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel like they could write like the lore of these new abilities. Like I think is pretty like straightforward, right? We're going to a new area, like a new planet, and they've developed slightly different. They probably still have all the jobs, but they have different techniques, and we learn those techniques.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're summoner. If you're summoner, it gets a little trickier.
I don't even know.
Probably.
He's in your heart. He's in your heart.
It's in your heart.
Yeah, I got another prediction here.
Oh yeah.
Just because I don't know, I got fun ideas that I'd love to see. So I think it'd be really cool for Dragoon. And Yoshi P he's spoken about this before in the past. It's like it's something we could possibly do. I would like to see not a pet in the sense of like a summon or anything, but a wyvern companion
I'd main
that
Dragoon.
shows up during like maybe a certain buff you throw up, and he shows up and he's flying around doing cool wyvern things, right?
Yeah.
Like a Final Fantasy 11 kind of wyvern.
And you know what? The fun thing would be, when it's up and you use Dragon Sight, it goes to the wyvern. If no one else is around, like, there you go, fix Dragon Sight.
I mean, why not? It's like you just have like a little balloon like attached to you that just happens to be like a little wyvern. That's just
you use Dragon. That would be interesting.
But that's my prediction. He's going to
I
be.
want that now because of the balloon.
right.
I would like that. I think I would very much like that.
I would like it.
It would be cool to have like, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be like a pet, right? It's just you use an action and it just calls out a wyvern that does X amount of guaranteed damage or something. But it just it's like this little, either an actual wyvern just shows up, which would make no sense. Maybe they're always following you. They're just hiding behind the trees like the mounts, right? Or it's like like an ethereal wyvern or something that just like, because you use Blood of the Dragon and you've got that whole thing like around you, just turn that into a wyvern or something.
Are we talking like actual little baby wyvern from?
Yeah, I'm talking like an actual dragon, and I think that'd be cool for the idea of Dragoon because it's evolved into this thing where you're working with the dragons now. Maybe you meet one on, the source.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the
It's
first.
just like an annoying little pal that won't leave Estinian alone.
I mean, what if the dragons on
Don't
the
do that to
source never
Estinian.
had a war,
I want it.
and the dragoons on the first are just dragon friends?
Wait, would they have dragons? 'Cause they're from the Dragon Star.
Yeah, I don't know that they would.
Depends on if they decided to come over from the Dragon Star.
I don't know. It's one of these things where it's like the lore of could really change these jobs, and that's very interesting.
I mean, there was like one or two of the original brood that aren't accounted for, right? So like they gotta be somewhere.
It'd be interesting.
Well, does each dimension have its own Dragon Star, or is it separate?
I don't know.
Oh, we had a question like that, and I can't remember.
Is it all-encompassing universe, or is it just our world? Is a little different. I think it's the whole universe.
Yeah, probably.
I need to look this up now. It was because we asked Koji about this at FanFest about how the things are broken up. Yeah.
If they're worlds or if they're universes.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those interesting things. It's like, how do these jobs that we know work there? Like,
okay, so here it is. How much of the source's dimensions universe is copied over? And he says, I can tell you, that a lot of stuff regarding source and shards and what's going on is one of those things that's going to be explained a lot in coming patches and expansions. So I've been told not to go too deep into that. We had a lot of those questions as well. For Oda-san, we can't really talk about those now, but answers are coming. But in the sense of how far is the split, to my knowledge, the split is focused mainly on Hydaelyn, the planet being split. Now, how far that extends, that's one of those things I'm going to have to confirm. I think other questions were like, is Hydaelyn the only planet that's split? Are there other planets that split? Can you talk about the Dragon Star? That confirms there are other planets. So Hydaelyn is not the only planet in the universe, but is the Dragon Star part of that source's universe, or is it a different universe? And what about the Dragon Star? Does it all split into 13? Do all planets split into 13? The only thing that I can confirm is that Hydaelyn is not the only planet in the universe. But beyond that, it's going to be one of those things that we're going to be talking about in the near future.
So
hopefully, a lot of those answers will come to light.
So it's the
So
And,
we-
bringing in a dragon to the first would be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
It's a question on if the shards are all split, if they're just split worlds or if they're split universes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a very interesting question, and I know we'll find the answer to that out
Yeah.
over this expansion.
Yeah.
That's very different.
I mean, this whole expansion is rooted in answering these old questions, right?
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
we'll see.
Maybe it's because Hydaelyn's split. Hydaelyn's a world, so they're split worlds. All in the same universe, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, right? I don't know.
It's so confusing.
Yeah,
I'm not really.
Oh, jeez.
It's hard to think about like multiverse theory here.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
I like how we got here from. Can dragoons have a dragon pet?
Yeah.
Only if
This is why I don't have predictions. I'm just like, just tell me.
See-
I want to know.
this is why I didn't make an outline to follow, because
Right.
we never would have gotten here if we did that.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Can
Oh,
bards? What
multiverse.
about
We'll need,
bards
like, a
from the
5
first?
minute-
If they don't have certain instruments, right? Like bard performance versus on the first. Like, are we gonna get new instruments from the first for
No, we carry them
you
over.
play
That's
bagpipes.
the first has bagpipes? We just never
Yeah.
developed bagpipes, and we're gonna bring them over.
Isn't
they got
aren't
electric
bagpipes
guitar.
part of a
Actually,
weapon or
your
a piece of
AF
armor already?
Your
Oh yeah,
artifact armor
yeah.
has
Yeah.
bagpipes. Yeah.
Is there gonna be like a customs check in the Crystal Tower so we don't bring any like foreign?
Can't bring plants. Can't bring pets.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. What is that fruit? Oh, it's over from. Do we have that fruit here? No,
Yeah,
I don't think so. It's a specialty here. No, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to confiscate that.
My raid food. That's my raid food.
Yeah, I want it. I need it though.
Gratia's just like in the Crystal Tower every time an adventurer goes back and forth. They're like, "What do you got there?" Nope, sorry, you can't bring it. Then he's just got like this giant like pantry of like food from
That's
the
really
first.
funny to think about.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry, I can't let you have that. I know what I'm having for dinner tonight.
I like that. That's my raid food. I need it to fix. Eat it. You don't want me to? Okay, screw off. Whatever. Fine.
Whatever.
No problem now.
No, whatever. I can't help
Oh
you.
yeah.
And when you
Ask me to
go
come
back
here.
to the first, if I haven't eaten it yet, you can have it back.
Oh shit. Maybe they have peaches on the first.
Oh, they probably do. You know
That's
they
where the
have to,
peaches
right?
went.
That's
Yeah.
where they were.
They-
We have peaches-
they have-
we have peaches on the source because we have those peach blossoms.
They have
You
peach
gotta-
confetti.
can't eat the
Yeah,
fruit.
Peach
peach
confetti.
confetti.
Maybe
I've never
maybe
seen
the,
a peach, but we have the confetti.
the Crystarium has peach trees. Maybe
Yeah,
Right,
maybe
they're
they're
self-sufficient. They
extinct
got-
on the source. So
they got
we don't-
farms and
Mhm.
this is starting to turn into Animal Crossing now. We have to go to the first so I can get a peach
Fine.
to plant on the
Yeah, that's okay.
source, right?
That's all right.
I got to go visit another town to get their fruit.
We don't know much about Eden yet, right? We just
Yeah,
know
nothing.
that the
We know that it-
little plant.
We know it take well. What we know is Norvrant is Eorzea on the first, and everything else is just in that white, like
Yeah.
empty. They call it like the land of empty.
Yeah.
If you look at the first screenshots that we had of Ilmeg, where they show kind of some structures, but then they have that weird kind of crystally bit that
Yeah.
comes up on them. A lot of people were thinking at the time, like, oh, like something in Black Rose and it crystallized. That's
That's the
the
light.
light. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
light. That's
yeah.
right on the edge of the light.
they
and
stopped
so-
it somehow.
Yeah,
It's,
somehow.
or it just hasn't creeped in yet. It's
Huh.
creeping. It's been creeping. But yeah, all we know is that it just takes place somewhere in that
Hmm.
land of empty.
Yeah,
for
what
Eden.
are we thinking about Eden? Like,
I wonder how they're gonna do the arenas. If it's all just
yeah,
nothingness.
yeah, like
Well,
how?
well,
Make it unique.
I think
Interesting.
they'll have to
Yeah.
give us something to work with, because the idea of Eden
Yeah.
is you're basically restoring like the elements, I guess, essentially to the first, right? So, and I that was another thing too, right? When they talk about it, the way that you're gonna progress through Shadowbringers, the kind of thing that I see is you're gonna go area to area and basically like unlock nighttime in each zone.
Yeah.
And then
It's
after
cool as hell.
that, they're gonna be like, okay, now we can start to work on the balance of like the land of empty.
That
And so like there's gonna have to be a catalyst for that.
Yeah.
Something is gonna, an island pops up or something. I don't know how you're gonna get there. You'd have to go past the empty. I don't know if people do that. I don't know if it's so but yeah, I mean, there's
yeah.
It's like the
There'll
opposite
be-
of the never-ending story. The nothing.
there you go.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're gonna get a dragon to take us out there, right?
There you go. Dragons confirmed. So
It all comes
saying
back to dragons.
that restoring the elements, just the elements part, made me have this brainwave of 4 fiends.
Mm.
4.
Okay.
I mean, we
I
haven't
haven't.
really done them.
I'll take
No.
it.
So I don't know. Maybe we have to defeat them to, I don't know, balance.
I mean, that
elements to us.
that could. I mean, we know that we've got what, two primals, right?
Yes.
We've got Titania and
Innocence.
was that the only other one?
Yeah, I think so.
Because Innocence is
Yep.
It's a prim. Well, maybe not a primal, but it's a trial.
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe I mean maybe we don't have that in the traditional sense, right? We don't have the primals or the I don't know how they'll do
Yeah,
it.
like we don't know what Titania is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Those are the two
innocence is more of like the big bad. I think is how that's going to be pitched, and at some point we'll fight him in a trial, or her, or I don't know if they. But anyway,
Who knows?
we'll fight innocence.
Blade has no gender.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was done.
Okay. I was just saying that I'm really happy that the raid is tied to the MSQ. It's just the moral of the story here. I'm
Yes.
just really happy about
Yes.
Because
Poor Alexander.
yeah, that was the juice of Bahamut, other than it being Bahamut, is that it's so entwined. Like, they could have done it with Alexander. They could have, and I wish that they had. It would have been pretty easy to do, I think, but it was the first one after gating some cutscenes behind the raid, and they didn't want to do it anymore. I get it, but it might be because that I raid, and I want to see it. I
But
really
now we have
want to see
normal mode, so there's like
there's no reason
completely
not to.
fine to
Yeah.
tie it.
And I don't know, like it's tied in, but it's also kind of positioned in a way where I think it's definitely side content, right? It's that mix of like, yes, it's totally related because you're going through, you're doing a list. Now go fix this.
Yeah,
But it's optional. But you already saved the main area, so you're good. But you can keep doing this. So I'll be curious to see how. Like, I would love to see it weaved in and have it be like really important. But at the same time, like, they could get away with it not being, and I think still have it be impactful.
Yeah,
I
because
guess.
it's still tied to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be ingrained, but
My question, I think, now after because we know that when we go to for the first time, it's going to be all day cycles, and then we'll unlock night cycles, and it's like a per character, like really weird way to do that kind of stuff. Do you think if you complete Eden, if you are restoring elements, do you think we'll get seasons?
that'd be cool. But
That would be cool.
I mean, one of the
That's a little
ideas that
ambitious.
we had
Weather. No, they were actually talking about weather, right?
yeah.
weather,
Straight up
yeah.
So we'll get rain.
Oh, so
and
just
snow.
weather? Okay, yeah. Because I mean, one of the ideas that they talked about for a long time was the idea of like free company primals. Remember that back in the day?
Oh,
And the idea
Yeah,
that
yeah.
if a free company uses one of them, like the weather in that whole zone changes. Like, so
Yeah.
what if they just kind of take that idea, but then just tie it into like Eden progression?
Mm-hmm.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, add weather.
Like, it's a small thing, but it's a cool thing Because it's like,
Yeah.
yes, I have done the story mode. Who cares? The normal mode of the raid, and something changed because of it is a good way to get that in there. Not
So cool. It's so cool.
I just had the
That'd be amazing.
best media tour thought.
Uh-huh.
Nobody's gonna be able to complain about me for recording video during nighttime
Oh,
because it's gonna be daytime all the time.
Always.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
shit.
so helpful to me.
That is so helpful.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
That was like one of the biggest complaints I had. Is like, you filmed this at nighttime. I'm like, well, I was doing other stuff. Like, it's
Yeah.
Didn't
man.
have a choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Unless they let you.
That's just
teleport
like-
back.
You're so
Like-
happy.
I'm so happy. You have no idea. I go to record something and I'm like, crap, it's nighttime. All right. I
See,
guess
yeah, you understand where we're coming from with this. Yeah. You almost don't want to complete the Shadowbringers MSQ now, right? Just
Yeah, I don't want
get all your videos done first.
Keep the night away.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Oh man.
So here's another thing to talk about with
Yeah.
Eden,
Mm-hmm.
and that is Gaia.
Uh-huh.
Aya?
The girl.
Mm.
Gaia.
Oh yes, yes.
My
Her
wife.
Yeah.
hammer.
You're
Yeah.
Her hammer and her name.
Yeah.
It's Geomancer.
You're right. That
She's a
is
geomancer. She's gonna be a geomancer.
Definitely
It's
geomancer.
gonna be the next healer.
In the.
I mean,
in the next
Geomancer's already in the game under
Yeah.
Astro
And
Quest.
But
and
now he's
remember, guys, just because Yoshida said it was hard to introduce a job in the middle of an expansion doesn't mean he never wouldn't do it.
Wink, wink.
The
Nudge.
biggest thing
Ever
was-
since he said it that way, I'm like, he's gonna use this again. Like, this is a nod to like.
when he was going over the character Gaia and the hammer, like they kept touching on the fact that like we don't have hammers in this game. Well,
Yeah.
how are they going to use it? We need animations for it. How's this going
I
to
want
work?
a healer with a hammer,
Absolutely.
please.
It would
Oh
be,
wait.
a geomancer healer with a hammer would be amazing. It's like a melee thing.
Yeah.
Whacking with your hammer. That'd be
Weren't
great.
they confirmed to use bells already though?
So they
don't-
can use hammers.
Yeah.
In fact,
Well,
in
I don't
Final Fantasy-
remember.
What if there's a bell on the hammer?
It's that.
It's a hammer bell. If we have bow
It
harps,
is a hammer
why can't?
bell.
If we have bow harps, why can't we have hammer bells?
That would be so amazing.
So in Final Fantasy 11,
the
I hate
bell itself is
Oh, that's
ethereal.
So
There you
actually, with Geomancer in 11, what they do is you can have like a hammer, for example. You can use hammers.
Yeah.
But the bell is like a separate thing you pull out,
Yeah,
Yeah.
bell is offhand, right?
It's like
Yeah.
your harp for bard.
basically.
You know?
And so
Yeah,
if they did a healer, like you could still have the bell you pull out for like buffs and stuff, but for your attacks, you're just hitting them with a giant
And,
hammer.
you know, that's a good point too to bring up, right? You look at all of the Disciples of War and Magic. Paladin is the only one that uses that offhand slot. So
Yeah.
do they? You know, one of the things that they brought in on 11 was grips
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
make use of that. Do you think that they would add anything
For
in
offhand.
5.0 for to just something to fill that slot for?
I don't think so. Just because
Yeah.
that'd be more inventory space and
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's so hard to say. And then that
just for
begs the
crafters.
question- Yeah.
Yeah.
And that begs the question of why not get rid of them then? But then you can't customize your shield with your sword.
Right. Yeah.
But they're constantly saying that there's like database restrictions. There's too many things. Like that would reduce the things, but I don't know if that's a great way to reduce them.
Yeah.
I don't know. You
But
know.
then how would people equip their Ukab and their Ubu sword and shield at the same time?
yeah, gotta flaunt both. I
Very
kind of
good
wish that with Ninja that they had two individual daggers, so you could
Yeah,
have
I would-
one and the other.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Mix and
That was
match would be
always
nice.
that was always tricky too with 11 because any dual wielding class, it's like, all right, you get two daggers or two whatever. Like what are you gonna pick? Like what's the offhand? What's the main hand? And the calculations for that.
Yeah.
Do you think they would
Remy.
give Dancer main hand and offhand?
I'm sure it's gonna be one thing.
Yeah. It's,
One weapon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
it's
I mean-
how this game is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just is what
It's
it is.
it's
Paladin's
true.
a relic of the old game, and they just couldn't really change it. So
Yeah.
Do you think they'll ever, while we're on that point, you know where I'm going next with this? Are they ever going to separate Summoner and Scholar?
I hope so.
I would love that.
I want it. That's the prediction that I wanted to say, but I don't believe it's going to happen. Like, no one's keeping points, but I want it to happen.
I don't think so yet, but they've been building it, even with like setting up the stories, you know, making it so summoners are something that Ul'dah is training. Warriors are being trained by the Marauders Guild in Limsa. You know, paladins exist. The monk order's being rebuilt. They've slowly been kind of making it so all these jobs that were once, you know, really rare are more modern place, and so they could make the shift where an adventurer could just start as that job, and then they can axe all the classes.
Right. Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see classes go away with Shadowbringers?
Not with Shadowbringers.
I don't think
No.
it's
I think
time
so.
yet. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's time yet.
We're all like, nah, and then they do it.
Every
Yeah.
time like somebody
Dragon.
mentions classes, I'm like, oh yeah, those are a thing.
Yeah.
Like I forgot about that. Yeah.
They got to get rid of it. They have to.
I
It's
think
so
so.
confusing and tedious and pointless.
Well, and you know, in that regard too, right? We keep talking about how we're getting away from base 1.0. 6.0 would be that, right? We would get in theory, right? We would have all the questions done. We got to see Ishgard, we got to see Alamigo. This is it. This is the brand new stuff. Wasn't even thought of during 1.0. Also, classes are now gone. We're just really getting rid of all that old stuff.
Yeah.
If they do the big change with Summoner where they like completely go away from pets and go to just demi summoning everything and like phases of, you know, switching between demi summons, I think if they do that, then it's just a prime opportunity to separate from Scholar.
Yeah.
And
you know, I'm a huge fan of that idea of Summoner. Like, I would love to. I don't even like pet classes. I just like Summoner. I don't even know how that happened, but like, I would love to see that switching kind of thing happening more. Like, I mean, it's masochistic because switching pets is kind of, you know, annoying, but I like that idea, you know.
Yeah,
so
using your kit, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I'd love that idea, and then Scholar would. By necessity, not have as much switching because there's just not as many. First of all, you know, like there's not as many to do.
Right.
So
Give them more reasons to eat their fairy.
Well, so in Final Fantasy 11, certain summons would have like buffs, for example.
yes.
So imagine if you had your rotation where like you summon Garuda, like actual Garuda, and she gives you some kind of buff, and that's like her part of your rotation. And you summon Ifrit, and he does single target stuff, and Titan is AoE stuff.
You're getting me so excited for this, and it's not gonna happen.
I mean, I have long
Same thing
said.
with the trade thing. I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. I hope it happens.
Poor Larry. Poor Larry. Next week he's gonna sit down and watch the video, and he's like, "Oh, that's not what we talked about."
No, I think it's still gonna be good.
Oh
Actually,
yeah.
Along those lines, what job do you think? Because every time there's like that one job that everybody goes, holy crap. Which one of them
is gonna
this
be
time?
It was Summoner last time.
Yeah.
I feel like with Summoner, just aesthetically, it's so easy to do, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
it really is.
The big
And
wow.
so I hate to say Summoner again, but probably Summoner again.
I think it's gonna be Summoner again too.
I
Let's
think-
cut Summoner out of the equation.
Sure.
Dark Knight.
that makes it a little more challenging then. Yeah.
Are you going with Dark Knight? Okay.
I'd probably go with. It's tough. It is. It's tough.
really hard.
You know,
What was
I
it-
think
what was it for
Fuck.
Stormblood?
Mug.
Nunk.
I mean, Monk would. Yeah.
They kind of shout on Monk really hard this time, right? So they gotta.
Yeah.
Something cool.
I'm gonna say Machinist just because like the animations for Machinist and Stormblood, like after you get that heat gauge up to 50, were freaking cool as hell.
Yeah.
Like I love the animations on it. And so if they tweak that and keep going with that, I think that could be really cool aesthetically. Yeah.
I think Dragoon.
Yeah.
Especially if we get like a pet wyvern kind of thing, not like a pet, but a companion.
Yeah.
I
That would
like
be
it.
a holy
That
crap
people
moment.
A Nidhogg transformation.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be really cool.
We just go to the
That's
first.
darkness. That's darkness.
Yeah.
not
darkness.
even not even like Nidhogg, but just maybe Hracefell.
Bloody. covered in
Or
blood.
or what if you get both?
Yeah.
And it's like a stance between
Balance.
light and dark.
Or
You're like,
You
which
have-
eyeball do I use?
or you have a wyvern companion and you fuse with him.
Yeah.
And then
And
you
you get,
become
like-
Shinryu.
Yes.
No, you become a Estinian hog, and you get the Resident Evil 2 eyeball on your shoulder.
Oh my god. What was the second job in Stormblood besides Summoner? I think it was Paladin with the wings.
Oh yeah, the
It
wings.
was definitely warrior. People lost their minds.
Oh, Warrior with the belt
Oh,
cleave.
yeah.
Because
Mhm.
they were just like, how many did they?
5 fell cleaves? What?
Yeah.
And then Dragoon comes out, does the tether, and people are like, what?
What is that?
All right.
I'm gonna stick to Dark Knight then, because it's the poster boy job.
Yeah.
So I think
That's true. That's probably a safe
Monk was
bet.
the poster boy job last time though, and they didn't give them crap.
They
You
were half the
thought
poster
so.
boy. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they were half a poster boy.
You're right. I am
Yeah.
It's more like quarter poster boy.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
It's weird. If I had to say what I want to see get the holy crap moment, it would have to be Machinist, because I would like to see that, because Dancer's
Yeah.
already gonna just devastate the Machinist population, I think.
It's
Like,
really awkward because, like, as somebody that plays like wants Machinist to be good, like it's like my third job at this point. Like,
Right.
I want it to be good. I want to be able to be good at it. I love the aesthetic of it, but also like Dancer.
Yeah. What I
It's
want.
new. I played it in 11. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I want Machinist to be it, but I don't know.
what would fix Machinist besides go away from the very ping reliant wildfire timing?
You pull out a second gun.
there you go. There you go.
I think Wildfire is such an interesting and cool mechanic, because I really like the way that it works. I like that whole putting damage to the explode. Yeah, it's very unique.
I think they need to simplify what the perfect burst rotation is, because right now, like, it's you have to, like, because if you use the ammo, it guarantees that the next combo can proc, right? And in, like, the perfect rotation is like you have to have like both of them like ready to go, and then right at the end you have to turn the barrel off and get another. Like, it's really weird, and it doesn't make sense, and it's not intuitive at all, unless like you just have to know it. If they could just make it flow better, like that's really what they need to do.
What, you don't like mathing out your openers?
I'm terrible at math.
Absolutely.
Or math.
I
Math.
love it.
It's I just
Machinist right now.
Yeah.
It's so like, it's not necessarily that it's really complicated. It's just
It's not.
really unforgiving. If you make a mistake, the penalty.
You miss
fast.
one button during that burst, and it's gonna really affect that wildfire.
Yeah, it's like, it's not the most incredibly complicated thing, but it's so punishing for even the slightest mistake.
Yeah, and that's where the ping comes in, because if you have bad ping, you miss that one shot, and it's like, oh well, there goes that.
There it is.
So
Yeah, there it is. And yeah, if they could just fix the fiddliness of the Wildfire timings, if they could, I hate to use that word, it's like tighten up the graphics on level 3, like it's just or clunky. Like, you hear clunky so much, but it's clunky. It's legitimately clunky.
What about, like, you know how you got to balance your heat gauge so you stay in the overheated abilities, right? And you keep those cool animations and stuff, right? And you feel awesome during that. But then you purposely overheat during Wildfire, and then all of a sudden now because of your rotation, you're now cooled down and using dumb moves.
Yeah,
sucks. That doesn't feel very good.
It sucks.
Yeah.
If they were more of an all or nothing, like if that was, I don't know how they would.
What if they just got rid of the heat gauge?
I like it.
I like it.
But
Yeah.
I don't like the way
it's one of those things, though, right? Like, I mean, we talked about, like, we don't like the normal moves, and then you also get I can't remember the whoosh, and the screens pop up, and it just boosts your heat gauge up to 50.
Yeah.
And with the way the rotations work and stuff, you're usually to that right away anyway. So why even have it be a thing?
Well, because it emphasizes that whole cooldown phase. We're like, okay, now I'm kind of weak right now. All right, now I can build back up.
Yeah. It's that was their idea with this, and it can work if it was a little less clunky if it made more sense, like just straight up made more sense. Like you could kind of parse how I would put these things in there and not be so reliant on ping. Then yeah, they don't even really need to change much because it's good and it's shiny. It's just it has a couple of fiddly bits, like.
Yeah, it just needs some smoothing out.
The fiddling to Bard.
It should flow into itself. You shouldn't have to build something up and be focusing on something and then execute it. It should just like build to that naturally.
Sure.
And you execute it naturally as a part of just your rotation and not like spamming this.
Right.
Okay, now I can use this.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the holding Aether Flow for Bahamut. Like,
yeah, it's similar.
It makes sense, right? It makes perfect sense when you're playing it. But to someone new, they're like, it's up, use it. Wait, why did I waste? Like it's like,
right. It's like, oh, I have Bahamut, let me summon him. Oh, he's not doing anything.
Right. It's one of those things.
Well,
and I like that you have to know, but
yeah. Since we're going like deep dive on Machinist 2, and we already talked about heat gauge. What do you think about ammo and the way that it procs that 3 action combo?
I like that.
Yeah. That's what drew me to it at first, because I was like, that's a cool mechanic.
It's interesting, but sometimes like the RNG feels like terrible on it.
Yes, because you're like, I'm just gonna fish. I'm just
gonna sit here and hit my 1. This is fun.
Yeah.
If this could proc, that would be great. Nope,
Maybe
not going to. Okay.
More
At
ways.
least you have a button that does it.
Yeah.
Rather than sitting there and going,
This is true.
It? No, okay.
That's true.
I guess I'll use Barrage now.
Yeah. It's if they
And
could.
then you get the proc.
Yeah.
Every time.
In a way, it's like a single like a stance charge almost, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, yeah.
It's dark arts with charges.
Yeah.
Like it's like I want to have it in front of this.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. It's if they give more ways to fish, like guarantee a proc. I don't know if they need it though.
No.
I don't think they do, but it's like it does feel bad. I mean I agree. It feels bad, when you're like, 1, nope.
But
nope.
it looks so cool though once you get those heated actions going though. Oh my
They
gosh.
are cool.
Just flipping around, you just summon like a line of bullets. It's like it's so cool.
Curve the bullet.
Yeah, curve the bullet.
It's so cool.
If Machinist gets a mech and they just go into a mech, I'd play it.
That'd be it for me.
Mustadio, you just go into Mustadio.
There you go.
He's a Machinist.
Yeah.
He's our Bahamut.
Right.
We just
Yeah.
after
Is he
2 or
a
3
suit?
minutes.
Or a mech. Like, is he a suit or a mech?
Let's make him a suit like
It's
an
like
Iron Man
it's.
Yes.
I was just gonna say Iron Man, right? It just comes from behind you, just wraps around, and you're like you're good to go. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, that would be a holy crap moment, I think.
suit. Holy crap.
And there it is. That's why Machinist is at the top of that list. If we're not doing Summoner, there you go.
I like that we came to there. That's perfect. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Mustadio Iron Man suit. There we go.
Mobile suit machinist. Okay.
I'm down. Give it to me.
Sid's just like off on the side, like watching us. He's like, I want one of those. How do I get that?
Did you guys see that not a leak, but it was that short video of people's reactions at the meeting tour?
Oh yeah, that was good.
I saw comments on that being like, wow, look at all those people behind them who are just deadpan, just watching this without any emotion. And I'm like, yeah, like,
yeah,
it's because they don't play the game.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like there's
Looks vaguely cool, do not understand heavy weight of.
Yeah.
Well, it's like how at the Stormblood media tour,
yeah,
the first day.
You're always going to have a mix, and I think the difference is, and for between me and Aldino and the two you guys are usually there with other streamers.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
So
We're
we're there with more actual media outlets. Like I can remember, we were there and people like left like hours before it was like closed. They did a couple of hours, did their interview, and they're like, all right, bye.
Yeah.
There's no.
It's a different energy because they're not as connected. But they're in a more,
Yeah.
Here are the facts. Goodbye.
Yep.
Yeah. They got sent out to this because they like MMOs. or they're the one who could do it. You know,
they're the one that knew kind of the most about what Final Fantasy, 1 through 10,
7.
12, and 13 and 15 are.
And you can see that with the questions that some people ask, like,
Oh, sure.
hey, what about Final Fantasy 16? That's not what this is about. Like, why?
That's not what you do. You ask Yoshida about 11 mobile, and that's it. 16? No. Get out of here.
That's why in the
16.
email they sent us, they were like, don't ask about the pay model.
Like, are you crazy? Like, why would anyone ask that question? Like, they have to tell people, though, because it's...
That brings back... I mean, and I can tell you exactly why that is, because when I went to the Frankfurt Fan Fest, there was they had the press conference, and they gave to like this one guy, and he's like, yeah, I'm just curious, why you guys have a subscription model. I have never seen Yoshida more like annoyed. Like he was like, ask your PR person, next question. He was just like, this is so stupid. Like, no, he wasn't having it at all. And so that's, there you go.
And, that's the nature of these things, like there's for every influencer or someone who's passionate about the game, there's just someone there because their website will generate buzz,
enough hits. Yeah, I mean, we joked about Forbes getting an interview back in the day. Before we were even Gamer Escape, we had an E3 a shared interview with Hiromichi Tanaka on 1.0, and we shared it with Fox Business News. This is how the world works. Yeah, and so I mean, obviously, I mean, now I think they are a little more
choosy.
I don't want to say like choose, but at this point, the game has been out. It's developed that community. Yeah. They know the people that they want to talk to.
And there's a lot of people in the media who do actually play it. I mean, you can tell from the questions they're getting better year over year. I mean, there's still the weird ones. But it's still getting better year over year. And from some of the traditional big websites, like I'll see it and people are just talking about, like, I remember seeing an article. They were talking about the world visit system and how it changed Balmung from their view, and I'm like, that's like they're playing it. They understand.
And I think the great thing too is with as laid back as Yoshida can be, like he knows who the people from these outlets are that are the players, that are the fans. I mean, one of my favorite stories to tell is at E3 a couple of years ago. Like Yoshida comes back from his break, and we're like, hey, like we're the next interview, and he just like walks past us as he's like, like, because he knows like we're gonna like ask him the hard hitting questions, right? He knows us, he knows what we're getting at, and so it's just like it's cool to
see. Ask about Gaius for an hour.
What did we ask? I think that was the E3 interview where we talked about the moon and if the moon was actually just a fake soundstage in Garlemald. I think that was that interview. That was that interview. Yeah. He's like, I don't know. How do we know it was even the moon? Was it our moon? Was it a stage? Like maybe they just faked the moon scene. We don't know.
Dramaturge.
Was it our moon is so much more significant now, though.
That's very true. Was it our moon or was it the moon of another shard? I mean, do they all have a moon? Does the moon get split? Why are we asking?
We gotta put on our tinfoil hats, guys. I don't have mine.
Is their moon made out of cheese? What is it?
Yeah.
Coming back through the Crystal Tower. What do you?
Whale. Yeah.
There you go. It's like, what do you have there? Cheese from the moon. Nope, sorry, I can't let you have that. I'm gonna have to put that in my pantry.
Your moon's made out of rocks.
He just has a whole separate pantry in the Crystal Tower for moon cheese. He's just.
I don't like this path. Let's return home.
Okay, so bringing it back, seeing the video of people reacting, it's like, there's a difference between people who are in the media and maybe they play 14 versus someone who's made a career out of 14.
Oh yeah.
And so, like, for example, at the Stormblood tour, when it was the second day and it was mostly just the streamers, like we were just screaming and yelling and people were just going insane.
I was so excited.
Comet and the 5 Felcleaves. It's such a stark difference because it's players first.
It's a very different atmosphere. I mean, you take something like that video and make that the whole crowd versus, you have 2 or 3 of those in a room full of other media that are there because they were assigned to go there or something. Yeah, it's very different. I mean, there were a couple, like, I can remember when we did Stormblood, there was a couple like, ooh, like that's really cool and stuff. That was it.
Yeah.
Legitimately, I thought everyone was going to stare at me like I had 2 heads when I saw Bahamut, because I was like, like I was sitting there like,
well, and that was the one, I think, where even if people weren't like really, like if they know Final Fantasy, they know that's Bahamut. They're like, oh, like okay, like that's cool.
Yeah.
I was in that room with all these people who are like quiet, and I'm like screaming that everybody be yelling, like looking.
I'm usually not like the crazy like screamer type. I'll just be sitting there with like a giant grin on my face, like yeah, like all right, that's cool.
I can't hold it in.
yeah,
There was a lot of energy at the Stormblood one, and it was cool.
Well, I mean, everything you guys do is always just like it's
excitement,
excitement and
This
energy,
game
and
is great. We love it, and so
yeah. I mean, you guys do videos and stuff. Everybody
it's your
else,
job to bring the hype.
Yeah.
It really is.
Everybody else just sits behind their computer and typing on a keyboard for 2 minutes, and then they're done.
And then they stop thinking about 14. Like, and that's like okay,
Like, we're gonna be living with this for two years.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, we're done.
Yeah.
No, we wrote our piece.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Any other predictions? Any other hopes before we start to wind down here? Anything else we haven't talked about yet?
Well, what do you think? Or you think we're gonna have a dungeon that we could play?
That's a good question.
I've actually I've thought a lot about this. The answer is yes, but not as a group, because they'll be having us try the trust system.
Yep,
if
I
there
think
is
so too.
one.
I don't wanna.
I would like to play with people, but I definitely agree. I think we're gonna be going through.
They're gonna have if they do that, because
right.
it's one of the big things of the expansion. They're gonna have if they have it, they're gonna.
I couldn't remember. Did they show Alphino in those pictures of the trusts at all? No. Yes.
No.
I
I
thought so.
I was looking forward to
I
getting
thought they
him
showed
built.
Actually, you know what? No, they might have. Yeah, I think they did.
Cool. So I'm running him into the enemies first. I'm getting him
Taking
killed.
his
Wow.
I'm stealing that book and that carbuncle. It's mine.
But is Alfino gonna get a job finally, or is he gonna stay an alchemist?
That's a great question. Yeah.
Alphino is just going to be the one that oversees the moon cheese pantry.
Get out.
Stop.
We went back.
Just it's gonna happen now. It's just gonna keep happening. It's just blitzball.
I did one of those.
But yeah, I think they will be showing off trust. That's I think you guys are right there, and I'm frankly excited to see that. Just to see the next step in this evolving AI that they're trying to give us. And it doesn't even have to be that smart, like
it just has to be slightly better than the squadrons.
If they have dialogue, there's like a whole lore implication.
Oh man,
they
didn't
have
think
to.
about that.
And I hope they do.
Yeah,
So
that'd be great.
I'd play it if there's dialogue. That would give me a reason to do it.
Yeah, I would redo all the dungeons with them, with different combinations of them to see. It'd be like Tales of,
It'd be like Vermintide.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, what you
Just
get.
little, pop-ups over their head.
Yeah, little vignettes of like.
You go into the library, and Yashol's like, hey, did I ever tell you about the one time I stole Matoya's book?
That would be so immersive.
So good.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
They're listening to this right now. They're like, we need to do this.
Yeah, go
this
back.
Is really good.
Back to
Just if it's not there, mention it casually.
Yeah.
Well,
Make sure you're standing really close to Yoshi B. Wouldn't it have been cool if they talked to each other, depending on what combo you have? Loudly.
I'm gonna have to.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna have to remember. Mary, you've been playing 11. They have, when you do a trust, they say something initially, but I don't think they talk, right? They don't talk after that.
They don't talk as you're fighting. Actually, no, I don't think so. But when you first summon them, yes, and they actually have different interactions if the NPCs know each other.
Okay, so I bare minimum I would expect that.
Yeah.
Right. And if that's not there, that's the question then. Are you going to do this? Why haven't you done this? 11 has it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
11 has it.
Uh-huh.
Like, what's the most recent dungeon again? What's its name?
Gimlet Dark.
Gimlet Dark. In Gimlet Dark,
Grimlet
there's
Dark.
dialogue. So at least history-wise, what we've seen when there's NPCs in a dungeon, we get dialogue. So
Yeah.
What if there was
like-
voiceovers too?
Oh man.
Don't push it.
Now you're getting a little too hopeful. I
Push
think.
it, come on.
Don't
I
push
want
it.
that. Definitely want that.
Scream
I had-
is not going to fork out the money for that.
You know, it's funny. Larry talks about how he had a nightmare about what they did to Summoner. I had a dream last night where I was walking around the Crystarium and like NPCs, instead of bubble pop-up text, it was like voiced lines as I walked by,
That's a dream.
and that's why
Yeah,
it's a dream.
not a nightmare.
Yeah, that's a dream.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mine
that'll
is
never
so
happen.
That'd be so great.
Yeah.
And then
I'll voice
so-
these things for you for free, Square Enix. I will.
There you
Yeah,
go.
we
Yeah,
got
same.
Yeah.
I mean, really, at the media tour, just have a sound booth and just record this one line, and there you go. Right?
Yeah.
Balls. That one's free, I see.
There you go. Just clip it right there.
There you go.
balls.
I mean, they do it for us, right? We're like, hey, can you say blah? We're going to use it in such and such. Like, here you go. I said blah. Use it in your game.
So then,
There you go.
so we think we're gonna have that dungeon, and then
Yeah.
zone-wise, I know at least the picture that they posted on the 14 Twitter.
It was Lakeland.
Yeah, you could see Lakeland, so at least we know
I-
we could go in Lakeland.
I would say Lakeland, and then maybe
Crystarium?
Eureka Greatwood. Oh well, Crystarium, yeah.
Definitely
What did we have
because we had Kugane, so
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll have Crystarium in in place of Kugane, and then we'll have Lakeland, and then maybe we'll have a part of the Greatwood, maybe.
Yeah.
I just
Really
wanna hear
want the Greatwood.
I just want to hear the full Greatwood BGM.
me too.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I really want.
Well,
Just
But-
get a sneaky full recording of that for
I mean, I wasn't gonna say that, but yes.
I think Crystarium is very likely because we know Lakeland is there. So
Yeah.
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 Then maybe
Makes
it's
a lot
just
of
those
sense.
two, and just that's it. I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, that's
I'm
kind of what they did. We had the lower half of the peaks, and then Ruby. So we'll probably have like half a zone and another.
Yeah.
It also depends on the terrain, right? Because I mean, with the peaks, it's easy because it's just that that wall.
I imagine
So-
with the forest, it'll be maybe like a big drop off and like
Yeah.
roots and
Yeah. It
stuff.
could be. Yeah.
Mhm,
another question with that then, because you said last time that like physically all the zones were on the list, but they only said you could go to those certain ones, right?
So some of them, the zones were there. They're like, don't go to that zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't do it.
Don't go through that zone line
But-
because it's there, but you can't.
Yeah.
But I think you can. Yeah. I think you
Good.
can. You're-
But they would be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. They had their names.
The names were there.
Did you see the locks?
No, because we didn't go to. Actually,
Perhaps.
Well, I mean,
so
on the
that part of the
list,
map wasn't
no.
uncovered.
Yeah. Some of the
That's
map
right.
data just didn't exist.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I remember now.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you
Yeah, the
you
maps
didn't
were-
get spoiled on the unknown zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they didn't list.
Oh
it.
right,
I was
yeah.
worried
Because
about that.
there's probably
Yeah.
one of those for Shadowbringers as well.
Right.
yeah.
I don't want the unknown zone to be on the list, and I read it.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as you go to somewhere you're not supposed to, like Bayon's just gonna be like, "So, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
I see you're in this area here."
Yeah, I'm not gonna try that. No.
Nope. Nope.
He's like,
Thrown
he
out.
just pulls out like this like ticket book. He's like, "I'm just gonna go ahead and write you a ban."
I mean, yeah, there'll be plenty of footage from that. I mean, I personally know if I can teleport to Summerford Farms, that's where I'm going to be because I'm just going to be pressing all the buttons and
Yeah.
seeing what happens. Yeah, exactly. Because I just want the dummy.
I'm sure. I mean, that's where we
Oh
went.
yeah,
That's where I wanna
okay,
go.
yeah.
That's what I'm like. I'm like, oh, it's going to be glorious. I'll see it later. I want to press all these buttons.
I mean, and that's how we did it last year. We kind of divided and conquered. I'm like, I'm gonna go look at scenery. You can go do all the battle stuff and go through all those things. And but yeah, I mean,
wanna press
there's
the buttons.
You guys like
Yeah,
all on
I'm-
the same server?
Charles and I
Beaver
are.
Yeah. No.
yeah.
Oh no, I mean like when you're
about
there.
me?
Oh,
Oh.
Yes, yeah.
There we are.
So like
Yeah.
if you go to Summerford, everybody else would be there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So
Yeah, it's a private server
Yeah.
for the
I think-
with whatever build is running.
didn't you
Okay.
play Dragoon and I played White Mage for one of our short videos or something? I
We
remember
we actually we went around. I think when we first sat down, we were like,
Yeah.
all right, let's like go check out the Ruby
Ruby
Sea, and then
Sea,
we found
yeah.
like we found like one of the hunt NMs, or like let's see if we can kill it, and like we were like, yeah, like we had
Did
no
not-
idea what we were
I
doing.
was like,
yeah.
what do these lilies do? Like, I remember thinking, being like, I don't know what these
You're
do.
like,
I'm trying
I
to figure
don't know. And I'm like, okay, I have eyeballs. Now what do I do? Like, we had no idea what we were doing. This is like 10 minutes into the hands-on. We're like,
the other
who
problem
knows?
was like, weren't some of the tooltips mistranslated? So like, what it actually did was wrong. To
That's going to be a big thing, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the restrictions they gave us, because that was one of the biggest things that blew up last time is the uses of tooltips, and I will totally admit too, like I was sitting down, I'm like, yeah, we're probably not going to go through and like grab each one of these and like publish them or anything. Like that's a lot of like nitty, like picky. Like I don't think we're gonna do. We ended up doing it, but it was one of those things everybody wanted to know, and I think the other issue
jobs, too. It's really important. I feel
well, especially for the new jobs, but I mean rotations change. You know, you get new things, old things go away, and I think it's just one of those things. Even if you have that, like, everything is subject to change. This is a development build. Like, people easily phase that out, and they're like, this is now the word of God. This ability now has 250 potency, and that is how it will be. And this is...
It said faster dealt 150 potency for both dots, as in, like, you had both of them, and it only did 150. I'm like, that's
not right.
Yeah. I mean, and that should be... And that'll be a thing, I think, that... a casual question, right? Because you don't want to eat up the precious interview time. How old is the build we're playing, right? Is going to be one of the first things that I ask, because when we did Stormblood, it was several months old is what we were playing. And I mean, internally back at Japan, they had a newer build, but this is the one that they had ready for the media tour.
Roll out,
Right, yeah. And so we're probably going to have something similar this time, to be honest. And so... every piece of content we put out, giant red flashing text, like subject to change.
I'm not so worried about potency values, more so just like actual description of what it's supposed to do. Like
exactly.
Flow into something else. It's like, I'm doing that, how come it's not working, kind of thing. Where like I can't even do the rotation right.
I think in that regard, I think they would probably have those a little more fine tuned. For people getting hands on with it. But it's oftentimes it's the numbers that aren't finalized, the potencies and the durations, and that's usually what's
because I can't. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think we might have maybe a little more of a recent build, if only because of Viera and Hrothgar.
Yeah, maybe
that's true.
Yeah,
because I'm sure we're going to do character creation for those.
Well, here's the thing I saw. There was an image I saw where somebody was on the character. It looked like a character customization screen.
Yeah.
I'll say right now, I'm not going to spend any time covering that during my hands-on.
No, it'll be in the benchmark.
Correct, because the benchmark, it'll be in the benchmark, and that benchmark is coming probably with the live letter or the week after that. Like, it'll be coming up soon.
That's true.
So that's my thought. I mean, that would be my advice too, is to not spend time in the benchmark. I mean, obviously do what you want to do, but it'll be in the bench. I mean, and then everybody can do it, not just the people at the media tour. So
it's true. I mean, because my focus definitely is going to be on getting as much of the information about the rotations as I possibly can, just to kind of see those answers that we were the answers to the questions that we have, and to also be a madman and try and red string them together into at least a rotation, because that's what I did last time, and it was
So here's your new rotation. The new complementary job to Bard is Summoner for some reason.
It's like,
I'll take it.
It's a skill, because you got to be able to read all these new tooltips and just incorporate it and learn how to at least execute.
I was not right everywhere. Certainly, certainly not right everywhere.
And I think that's the thing that's going to be really exciting too, is because there's a lot there. I mean, we joked about the nighttime shots earlier, but like it happens. You only have so much time, and if that's
you got 2 new jobs.
And I mean, and if that's happens to be the time of day you happen to record that cool footage you want to share, like that's it. Like that's
all you got.
I mean, I think the other thing I got feedback on is I was on a Lalafell character, and so everyone was angry that I was on a Lalafell, and it was like, well, well, no, but they're like, well, other content creators like had used a Fantasia and made it their character. I'm like, that's cool. Other content creators can do that, and that's
really?
On them. there was
Fantasia.
I didn't
if you
hear
go
that.
years and years and years and years ago, there were like items that every character had. It was like a Fantasia and some gold dyes.
Yeah, dies.
And that kind of stuff. And so a lot of times on some of these event builds or whatever, they still have that in there.
'cause they're-
And I'm like, look, if they wanted to change that's fine. I don't want to take that 5 to 10 minutes of working on that because I want to be spending on looking at the new stuff,
If
right?
they
So
give me a Lala,
it's probably going to be there.
playing on Lala. If they give
well,
me a Lala-
I've made the joke that if they put me on a Hrothgar or a Viera, I'm going to change to here because I want to be able to see my headgear.
Oh,
if I'm taking pictures of all the AF,
yeah,
I
you're gonna
need that
want-
head slot, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think it'll be exciting because everybody's going to have their own things that they're looking at. Like we've talked about like how none of us are like big giant like healer mains and stuff. And so while we may not have this crazy involved right up on that, somebody else might.
Yeah. Certainly.
So everybody's coverage is going to be different, and I'm really excited to obviously like get hands on, but to see what everybody else sees because I can remember watching videos from everybody. And I'll be like, oh, like I didn't see that part of the Ruby Sea. Like, where was that? Like,
that's cool.
And it's gonna be awesome. Yeah. So
we've
it's
got a
not
pretty
just
diverse. I think we have everything. Mains of all the roles. I'm pretty sure we have everything.
in the community.
between everybody. Oh yeah. Everything will get covered.
I don't know who we have that's a ranged main, but yeah.
That streams a lot. Yeah.
I think
that'll be there.
I think that the benefit of that though is while it may not be somebody's main, like a lot of us have also dabbled in secondaries or tertiary.
Yeah.
Like we'll have enough experience to be able to to talk about it and highlight it a little bit. So
personally, I know that I plan on, in the weekend, and then in the time that we have before this, because I work so much that I only have time on the weekends. Go and collect some things that I want to know from people who actually play those. Because that's what I want to do. I want to do all the battle system stuff. So like that I'm gonna, ask a couple people that I know, so that, when it does happen, I'll have a little bit more, but I won't have that much. But yeah, we have so many people that someone will get it.
If we don't have, like the crazy new like Dark Knight changes, somebody else will. Like it's just
somebody will have it.
Somebody somewhere.
Mary's got it.
Well, got
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's fine. And even, obviously like we're going to have like a lot of content. We're going to have a lot of crazy, the plan is equal, if not superior coverage than the Stormblood. Write-ups. And I mean, we had like Aldino was a beast on that stuff. Like, oh my God. But I mean, it's going to be great because everybody's going to have such great stuff to look at. Everyone's going to be hype trained on, it's going to be great. It's going to be I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody puts out.
There was so much fun, like late night, after the first one, before we could actually post it with Zen and I, she's doing all the graphic design, putting things where, and I'm like, wait, I think that goes here in the, like I'm
putting a puzzle together.
It's like they have the whiteboard at a police station from the detectives. They're like, who's right? No, we're gonna take him. We're gonna put him here.
Oh, you guys got a whole team. I'm just gonna be doing it by myself.
It does feel like we're cheating a little bit, but
I'm gonna be crunch time for like 6 days, no sleeping.
Well, and that's part of
appreciate it though,
and that's what kind of where it comes back to that idea of everybody's got their own point of view on everything, right?
Yeah.
So like obviously Larry's gonna be like, all right, first thing I'm doing is I'm sitting down on Summoner and checking out Summoner.
Going up Summoner,
yeah.
Right, yeah, and not a lot of other people are gonna do that
immediately.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, like exactly, because I remember last time too, I literally watched everybody's coverage, every single one, because I just wanted everybody's viewpoints.
Yeah,
it was great.
There's going to be a lot of information to take in.
Yeah.
Just, throughout the entire month leading up to Shadowbringers.
Yeah. Well, with how sparse it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to
everybody's ravenous.
Mm-hmm.
Last time, both expansions, we had the benchmark by now. So it's like,
yeah,
we have nothing to like speculate on either.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to hit hard.
Yeah.
It's going to hit hard.
You'll be drowning in coverage.
And then 2 weeks later, we'll have the game.
Even just AF gear, because it's like
We haven't
Like
seen
last time the benchmark, the trailer, we saw like all the AF gear. We saw at least
we've
one of
we've only seen like the new jobs and
And
like
only
a
artwork.
couple
Red Mage,
artwork, yeah,
Black
the concept
Mage, yeah.
artwork pieces,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is relic,
Samurai Machinist.
Yeah, we haven't seen Warrior, haven't seen
Dragoon.
Haven't seen Dragoon.
No Dragoon.
Summoner, of course.
haven't seen Summoner.
Yeah. Summoner is just one giant horn. You just walk. It's like a mascot. You're just like
Better be.
you're just like a traffic cone.
I'm just trying to figure out how they'll make us show even more skin. Like I'm prepared for it. Like how much more of the outfit is gone. That's what
You're just gonna be wearing Bahamut.
Fine.
It's
Fine.
true. Every time the summoner outfit.
It's like one of those like creepy but
Yeah,
tasteful
that's right.
photos shoots where it's just like you're just naked and Bahamut's just kind of like wrapped around you, covering just all the right spots.
No.
Oh, man. Like the naked riding a horse type picture. It's
Oh my
just, like naked sitting on Bahamut's side saddle.
Still not as bad as Moon Cheese.
So literally, they're gonna show us the job action trailer, and that's gonna be our first time even seeing the gear
Yes, it's true.
and all the abilities.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nothing to go off right now.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
And then we actually see the video, and it's just everybody in like the Moogle costume.
Just to troll us.
It has the text, so you know which job is what, but it's just it's just Moogle. Yeah.
I'm
Do not
excited.
The
Yeah.
Moogle dancer weapon.
Oh yeah.
What's
Oh
it
my
gonna,
God.
what would it
Do you
be?
think they'll go
It's
back into
like a
that?
palm. It's
Maybe.
just the palm.
I hope
The little-
they
Like
add
freaking
the glowing-
gear leader palms.
Oh
No,
my
no,
God.
like the head piece. It's just like an orange sphere because you can do a lot with spheres. You just
Dodgeball.
I want to take.
It's like a tetherball.
yeah.
take-
No,
what
it's
you
like
said
a morning
and quote
star.
it. You can do a lot with spheres. I don't know
do
why.
a lot with
but
spheres.
It just made me laugh. It's just a secret of the universe.
You could do
You
so
could have
much.
you could have
football.
you could have moon cheese shaped
Look
in
at
spheres.
Ozma. He turns
You
into a
could
triangle.
He does turn into a triangle.
have- Ooh, different shapes now.
Yeah. All from a sphere.
Yeah.
Battle team is like, all right, guys, hear me out, right? Stormblood, spheres, Shadowbringers, triangles. Whoa.
I'm hoping that they add the previous ultimate weapons to the 2 new jobs.
Yeah, that'd be very.
They would
cool.
have to. They would have, yeah, they'd
I
have
would
to do that.
really much like that. Yeah.
That's on my
They were
list of
recent.
things to try and check.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, can you go to those places to the vendors or no?
You could go to any other zone.
Yeah.
Wasn't a new
so you
one,
could go to like
so-
Idleshire and go.
Probably.
Idleshire routers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
if
think-
they're on
Or
the
just go earn it. Who else is gonna be there? Just make a UCOB party.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah, they're Ukab.
Oof.
Look. I know everybody was excited to see the Crystarium. I just wanted to see the dancer UCOB weapons, so that's what I spent my time doing.
My God.
I
Well-
wonder if that would be considered under the NDA. It probably would.
Yeah, I would guess
So-
so.
UCOB weapon.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I would guess so. Well,
It's not Shadowbringers gameplay.
like
It's in Rauger's Reach.
I would like to have the opportunity to do it, but once again, we're talking about on 2 separate days,
Yeah.
or at least 2 separate
Yeah.
times, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. It's like when you go to a trade show and there's the battle challenge, and you're like in the line, and you're like, hey, do you actually play this game? Yes, you do. Cool. Come with me.
How about you? Are you big into 14? I like Final Fantasy 7. Okay, we're
Stay in the
gonna.
line,
Just,
stay in the
you
line.
stay here. You stay here. Well, you wait. You wait for the next group. You wait for the
Trying
next
to
group.
build a group to beat Ukop. That would be amazing.
Oof.
Yeah, we just don't do the coverage. We just do Ukab.
Yoshi P walks out, everybody's doing UCOB. What
We
are you guys
really
doing?
like Ultimate. UGB.
We have this whole expansion coming out, and you guys are sitting here.
Please give us 3 Ultimates next expansion. You see how much we like it?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
After the panel and the way they talked about how they were kind of how it became like a big streaming thing. There will be 3 ults, like
I would
ultimate
guess
fights.
so.
There's got to
I
be.
hope.
They
Yeah.
are leaning so
It's a
heavily
good
into
idea.
that streamer crowd right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, like I said, I think on our show with Frosty, look at WoW and their Race the World first. Not everybody's going to want to stream it, right? But just that event and how much interest it generated. I don't play WoW anymore. I watched it a little bit just to see what the bosses were and how they worked. You know, that's cool. I don't know that anyone wants to stream trying to get world first. That was kind of a ridiculous move, and they still got it anyway. But like, yeah, I don't know if we're quite ready for that, but it would drive a lot of interest.
Yeah. At the same time, you also got to be careful from a development standpoint of developing content for the players versus content for people that are watching the players.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Who
It's
knows?
Layers on layers on layers on layers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely really healthy for the game, but they could definitely overdo it to the
Yeah.
point of, like, they're just spending so much time doing it for just a small group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They gotta find a good balance of that.
Mm-hmm.
It all
Onion.
comes back to balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
ASD
nighttime.
is good.
Yes, and no nighttime.
Thank goodness.
Poor Yoshida sitting there in his office looking at the latest build. He's like, all right. It slips on his Infinity Gauntlet. He's like, all right, we're just going to perfectly balance. It's not working. Why won't it work?
Stop snapping.
And Machinist is gone.
Oh no.
I'm having flashbacks to Infinity War and Bucky now. Why would you do that to me?
Is he a machinist?
I mean, he has a machine gun.
You know what? He's a machinist. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
He doesn't have turrets, but he's got
Is
a
that
gun.
The requirement for a machinist is a machine gun.
Yeah.
Mine's a
Don't you not
bazooka.
change the job?
Or just a gun in general, I suppose.
Yeah.
Black Widow machinist.
Oh. Yeah.
Ninja.
Well, but she's also got the sticks, or the staff, right? So
Yeah, she's got some more
Okay.
shit. All right. How do we get? Is it? Yeah. Okay. How do we get here?
Oh, that's a good question.
dragons and moon cheese.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what the
Dragon.
title of this?
That's the title of this episode:
okay.
Dragons and moon cheese.
Oh no.
He's
I'm
out.
calling it
I
now.
like half of that title.
Yeah.
And now with the way that my mind works, I have the moon theme from DuckTales running
Oh.
through my head.
Ooh, it's good.
Yeah. The half of that title I like is "and moon." That's the half that I take.
And moon. Well, let's just call it and moon. We'll let people feel like this is a
Gonna
weird
have to
title. I need to listen to this episode and find more. Why? How did they come to this?
Gotta make some 3 cheese moon t-shirts.
Right?
I'm leaving. Podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I think we've gone to almost 3 hours anyway. So.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Man. Oh,
I'm so
man.
excited. I gotta like
I
let it
know,
out
right?
somehow.
I know.
What do we have? We have like 3 days.
I don't know.
Well, you guys have less.
Yeah.
Yours is
Time.
on the 21st.
Sunday,
right?
Monday, Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soon.
Ours is Wednesday.
4 days.
Soon.
Yeah.
And for those listening, we will get that information out to you as soon as we are allowed to.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and I know this has been a hot topic. I know there's a lot of tweets going around. I've retweeted several of them. Please don't bug us about it, about the embargo, about when we can talk about stuff. Don't try and pry information from us. I know most of you know this already and would not do that, but it needs to be said because, especially last time around, this was the huge thing.
Yeah.
So let's
know,
all be cool and let's all just wait and be excited.
Yeah, because we're talking about how the community has every type of main, and we're going to get a lot of good content. The more you push people to break these NDAs and then they get excommunicated, the less content you have. Like, that's...
Yeah,
really-
like if people
it's
break
not
embargo,
so
guys, they're not going to be invited back to
No,
these things.
it's not going to
Like
happen.
that's how that works.
You
So
will lose that perspective forever. So don't.
Spend
Yeah.
time on Twitter replying to people. I'm not going to be spending time editing the videos to put out.
That's also true.
yeah, I mean, if we're sitting here fighting back against people asking for stuff, that's going to hinder our time to better present this information, right? So
Believe me, the first thing I'm going to want to do after, we leave the tour event is just yell to the heavens what
Talk
changed.
about.
I just want
oh
to.
yeah, it's hard. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
In that, in retrospect, it'll be a little bit easier to stomach this time.
Yeah, it's the
Yes.
next day.
Yeah. Last time it was in the very start of the month is when the media tour is like mid May, and then it
Yeah.
was all the way to the end. So we had like 2 or 3 weeks where we couldn't say anything.
Yeah,
And then
it
people
is.
wanted to
Well,
speculate.
we were also, I want to say we were first last time.
I think North America was first. Yeah,
And
so
then, and then
had to wait.
Europe after that, and then Europe started leaking stuff like they always do, and we're like, but no, you know,
It wasn't us. I swear.
it's a vicious cycle. But anyway,
It just happens.
yeah. You guys will see all of our stuff
as we
as
possibly can.
soon as we're allowed to put it up. And you'll just be sitting there patiently waiting, like nice, cool listeners, and then all of a sudden, just you'll have so much stuff to check out.
Or
So
you'll also know when to expect it as soon as we're able to tell you that too.
Yes, exactly. So you can you know
yeah.
take a long
Please-
lunch break at work or
Please
something.
look forward to it. There is a lot to look forward to.
To the hour.
And with that being said, I think we're almost 3 hours here, so we're gonna go ahead and finally wrap this up.
Yeah.
Mary, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/very_Mary, also on Twitter and YouTube. And that's it.
Larry, where can people find you at?
We're easy. Larry Zor on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube. That's me.
There you go.
That's it.
All right, so that'll wrap it up. Thank you to the both of you for joining us today. I didn't think this was going to go as long as it did, but it was a good discussion.
Yeah, it was fun.
If you guys want to reach out and contact us, you can email us or tweet at us, Aetheryte Radio, aetheryte@gamerscape.com. You can also reach us on Facebook as Gamerscape or on Discord, discord.gg/Gamerscape. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about here really soon. We're going to have that live letter coming up with a lot of that stuff. So we will obviously be talking about that. You know, E3 is coming up as well. We'll be out at E3. So we'll have stuff from there for whatever they're showing as well. So keep an eye out for that, and please look forward to it. And we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.